call this meeting to order of the Pawnee Business Council special meeting of April 24th, 2017. I'd like to begin with, if I can go to Councilman Adson, would you render your invocation, please?
Oh, certainly. Heavenly Father God, we come to you this afternoon, giving you the praise and glory for a beautiful day. Thank you, God, for our tribal people and all of our employees, Heavenly Father, that travel back and forth here to help our nation. I ask that you be with our mourners today. Be with the infirmed, God. There are many. Be with our children, wherever they may be, and ask that you take care of them for us, God, our future leaders like that, our neighboring tribes like that. Be with our Pawnee people, and I ask you to bless this council, God, to make decisions for our Pawnee nation here. Giving you the praise and glory for all that we have, and I'm asking this in Christ Jesus' name. Amen.
Yep.
Call on Secretary Littleson, if you could call the roll, please.
President Pratt,
Excused.
Darrell Wildcat,
Here.
Jamie Littleson here, Angela Thompson.
She's supposed to call in.
Here, by phone.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Here,
Okay, fine.
by phone.
Oh, yeah. Hey, forgot all
the
about
phone.
that. Sammy Adson,
Here.
Donna Hare,
She's running late.
She's running, yeah, she's on her way.
so excused. Adrian Spot Horse Chief,
Here.
Leanna T. Here.
Okay. There is a declaration, there is a quorum. So then move on to the approval of the agenda.
No additional stuff, is there? Nothing?
Anything to be added to the
Okay.
agenda, or
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda for council special meeting, April 24th, 2017.
motion's been made for approval? So I hear a second on that.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Mr. Spotted Horse Chief and seconded by Ms. Littleson. Okay, moving on to the,
We're gonna call for the vote.
pardon?
Call for the vote.
Oh. Okay,
Jamie Littleson, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes,
Sammy Adson,
Yes.
Adrian Spot Horse Chief,
Yes.
Leanna T.
Yes.
Can you hear all right, Angela?
yes, can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
good.
Okay, good, thanks.
Motion passed.
Motion is passed, and moving on to the next item. Approval of minutes of April 12th, 2017.
Vice President Wildcat, I have a change on line 296. It says that it was a motion made by Angela Thompson and then seconded by Angela Thompson.
Okay.
So I know that's not right.
Well, it does say that, yes. Family, is there anything,
I don't,
do you have anything different than that?
The graduation stolz.
Pull out my other notebooks.
I have Angela and Adrian.
Andrea,
Angela
Angela making the motion.
and Adrian seconded it for the graduation stoles for $50.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. Did you hear that, Ms. Thompson?
Yes, thank you.
And second was by, you say, it was Adrian. Are there any other changes?
I have the second by Sammy Adson.
What?
In my minutes.
Sammy, okay.
Approval of graduation stoves budget money for material for up to $50. Motion by was Angela, seconded by Sammy Adson.
Okay, what about the
Her
Indigenous
notes.
Day?
I didn't do this section of the
I
minutes, so.
have Sammy and Angela.
For the stoves, it was
No, for the Indigenous Day.
Indigenous
Three
Day.
of them, yeah,
I have a motion by Sammy Adson, it's seconded by Angela Thompson.
okay. So, we'll go by yours?
Sounds good.
Okay.
So it's,
Second by Sammy Adson.
okay, so, yeah,
Uh-huh.
okay.
That sounds reasonable. I can't even remember that part. I know a lot of stuff going on.
Okay, need to hear a motion on changes to the,
We need a motion
a motion.
first for to approval of the minutes.
Is that all the corrections?
Yeah, any more corrections? Yeah, that.
I make a motion, we approve minutes for PBC meeting April 12th, 2017 with corrections.
Motion's been made by
That sounds good.
Mr. Spotted Horse Chief.
Second.
I'll second that. Thank you.
Second has been made by Sammy Adson.
Yes.
Call for a vote.
Amy Littleson, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes,
Sammy Edson,
Yes.
Adrian Spotted Horseshoe.
Yes.
Leanna T.
Yes.
The motion is made and seconded, and it has been approved. Okay, moving on to one of the business travel requests for approval. Ms.
I have
Adson, you have anything?
I have none.
I have none.
Mr. Horst, I don't know what you think,
I have none.
Femi? Leanna? And none from myself. Travel.
President Pratt has some trouble.
Pardon?
President Pratt has some trouble. He was requested.
Ask
Angela?
Ask
Oh, Angela.
yeah, I have two. There's a tribal information meeting for the Southern Plains region in Oklahoma City on May 17th and 18th. And then also, I'm interested in this tribal leaders consultation with the USDA in Wyandotte on August 21st through the 22nd.
That's in August.
Did you say August or June?
It's
August-
17.
August 21 and 22.
Yeah.
August, yeah, she
Yeah.
said August 21st, 22nd.
Yeah, I've seen that too,
Yeah.
Angela, and I have an interest in that as well, but it's so far out that I'm gonna just
Wait.
wait.
Now, what was that too? It's in
Well, I'm
Wyandotte?
gonna
Come
go
again.
ahead and put it in because I want to get the code
USDA
and make sure we get the
leadership.
I don't know if the rooms will fill up. That's the only reason why I looked so early.
It's a great idea.
With Oklahoma tribal leaders.
Leadership conference with Oklahoma Tribal.
Yeah. And,
Just making sure you're
In
good.
Wyandotte?
yeah, okay. I have some requests from President Pratt.
Oh,
And
Sky conference.
he would like to attend the BIA information meeting. They'll be held in Oklahoma City on May 17th and 18th. And also the HHS tribal consultation meeting, also in Oklahoma City, on May 23rd and 24th. And the NCAI conference that will be held in June, June 14th through the 17th.
Where's that at?
That I don't know.
Well,
And that's the, what is it,
NCAI.
NCAI?
NCAI.
But you don't know where at this time, or?
It's probably in Alaska. I think
When
they
is it?
June
It's a June meeting.
14th through
It's not
17th?
their
14th
annual.
through 17th.
The annual's in October,
I'll look it up right now.
so I don't know what
It's the mid-year conference and it is.
What the, what, yeah, what's the
Connecticut.
agenda and
It's
how's
in
it gonna
Connecticut?
benefit
And
us?
then-
Mid-year
is it
conference.
gonna-
Beacon Sun.
Yeah.
Is it not
Connecticut.
something that's gonna be
Oh,
at
okay.
the yearly conference?
Right.
Well, I
usually-
don't know what.
Well, and then usually you can just go on YouTube and listen to the
What?
sessions, you know?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
great,
it's in,
it's a
Mohegan
great
Sun.
tool.
Yeah, it's Connecticut, yeah.
Wow.
It's in Connecticut?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And this is NCAI.
I'm sorry, could you go over that one more time with me?
Okay, the first one is the BIA information meeting,
Okay.
and that one's gonna be in Oklahoma City on May 17th and 18th.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Angela.
The second one is the HHS Tribal Consultation Meeting that will also be in Oklahoma City, and that will be May 23rd and 24th. And then the last one is the NCAI, I guess it's the mid-year conference, and it'll be in Connecticut, and that will be June 14th through the 17th.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Angela, are you there?
I am.
What kind of travel funds do we have for the council? Just off the top
We
of your head.
budgeted, we budgeted about, what is it, about 35,000 or something like that, Cindy?
Yes.
That- Do you have that right there?
I don't have it with me, but I can.
Yeah. And we went over last year, and we're still trying to get some of our reimbursement. I don't know if we received all of those, but it wasn't a lot.
Right?
But you know, when we're looking at funding other projects and things like that, you know, that's why it's kind of dwindled down.
Sure.
Because we pull from that, like for instance, like the Princess, we pulled money from the council's item to fund that, and
Right.
so instead of trying to pull in more revenue or dip it into our reserve, I try to use the council's budget to fund those types of special projects.
And I was
So I
thinking,
just like for us to keep that in mind too. It's very limited, and I don't know. I mean,
I
I
understand.
I don't know.
I understand. And speaking about that Princess budget, don't forget Culture said that they had some funds that they could also help with.
Okay, cool.
So Culture says that they do have some money in their bucket that we can use too, so we can, you know, kind of help us out too as a council.
But we don't know the
That'll be great.
balance.
Okay, we don't know the balance right now.
No, I don't have access to that.
Do you know approximately how much money that Connecticut trip's gonna run?
Here's my thing, and this is just my opinion. I have no problems with him going to those other two, but I think for that NCAI, I want to hear from him why he wants to go. I mean, you know, he just told you that's where he wants to go, you know, but I want to know why he wants to go up there. I mean, because, you know, I know these other two, and if it's legitimate, then, you know, he's still got a couple more council meetings to talk to us about it before then.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, I'm all for, you know, him representing a big, or Daryl representing, any one of us representing us at those big, high visibility meetings. I mean, I think it's important that Pawnee have a seat at the table for those things. I just think maybe if we can just wait till the next meeting and get some more information.
Okay.
Not saying no, don't wanna be that way,
Right.
just saying, you
Just
know.
table that
I
one.
Yeah.
am, I'm totally in agreement with you too. It's,
Uh-huh.
but I think we need to hear some more
Yeah.
information. As for the Oklahoma City ones,
No
no,
brainer,
no,
Yeah.
no problem with that at all. But
yeah.
so we can,
And those are probably reimbursable, right? Or the HHS and,
The HHS.
The HHS is,
Yeah.
and the informational, mine, DOI will pay mine, but they won't pay his.
okay.
Okay.
What I can also do is have
Okay,
Harrison
quick.
run a
Did you fill
report
it?
before the next meeting on the travel fund, so that we'll know
I'm sorry.
That would be good.
yes.
No, quit it, Andrea. No.
So did you hear Muriel's gonna have Harrison run?
Some numbers.
Some
Yeah.
numbers,
On the travel
some
fund?
numbers for us for next meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve all travel except the president's NCAI trip.
Now, I would also say that we need to be mindful of taking advantage. Do we go through Southwest or something to get our tickets? We don't do a travel.
We need to look at those options to save money.
Absolutely.
We use Bentley hedges, and I'm not for sure that's the most
No.
economical.
You know, being strategic
way, because
sourcing.
right now, if you can go and, get a good rate, a cheaper rate.
Yeah,
I don't know what benefits that Bentley hedges provide us,
right.
other than doing all the research,
And I would
or the
say-
legwork.
I would say absolutely, we should not be using a travel agent. They are embedded with the airline carriers. We need to have our admins be able to research, get some pricing off Travelocity, Expedia, and book a ticket. It's cheap. So that would be my recommendation moving forward with travel, and I don't know if there's a travel policy that says we have to use those people, but it saves money.
No, it doesn't.
At one
And,
point, we talked about having a travel agency here.
well,
I thought we were
that's-
already looking.
I don't know why we have how many admin
Discussed
supports.
once, yeah.
We got all kinds of
Well,
admin support.
that was gonna be their job to take care of the travel for everybody.
And that's part of their job. It is part of their job,
Who is that?
the admin supports.
Oh, okay.
That's what they do. I mean, that's what they do. They get good at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, who seconded the motion?
Nobody.
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 Oh.
We're still talking, but I'm saying
Still,
that,
yeah.
let's get in that 21-day window. If you get 21-day booking for airline tickets, you get a really great rate. So, hey Donna, so let's try to get in a 20-day window, if we can get that back to council in 2 weeks.
Good.
Okay. Thanks, Ange.
Just for information.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Just for information purpose, Donna Hare has arrived at 6:05.
Dang.
Ta-da.
The latest, all right.
Oh, no, I was
Made grand
Yeah, I'm
entrance.
just teasing you. Well, we're going over, do you have any travel?
No.
Okay, no travel.
No travel.
And this is
Fine.
Bruce's request, BIA, Oklahoma City, 17th,
We're bringing
18th,
Donna up to date
HHS
right
room.
quick.
He wants to be there for the
Okay.
HHS consulting. He's asked to go to NCAI in Connecticut. We want
Okay.
more information on that.
Okay,
We're not saying that we don't agree with
Yeah.
it. We want to know what's it going to cost us and
Okay.
what's there for it.
okay.
And then we have this tribal leaders, this is for Ange. She wants to go to the Southern Plains meeting, 5/17, 5/18, and the tribal leadership meeting in Wyandotte in
Okay.
August.
Oh, okay.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in the tribal leaders
I was
meeting.
too.
Okay.
Mhm.
I've been boycotting for some years, but it's time to probably go.
Anyway, so we said that we're going to circle back around for Bruce's NCAI meeting until the next meeting, get some more information on it.
Thanks.
That's where we're at.
Still waiting on the second.
Okay.
Angela's.
Oh,
Angela second?
Angela seconded.
Oh, yeah. Motion's been made to approve travel except the NCAI Mohican trip, which will be discussed at a later date. And it has also been seconded by Ms. Thompson. Call for a vote.
David Littleton, yes. Angela Thompson? Angela. Sammy Anthony?
Yes.
Donna Hare?
Yes.
Adrian Spotted Horseshoe?
Yes.
Leanna Q.
I'm gonna vote no until we get the report on the balance of the travel.
I have a report right in front of me. I just looked up that I got on April, just a few days ago, April 12th. It's dated. The balance, we budgeted $35,000 in the annual budget. We have $22,145 left in for the remaining year.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty much on
Yeah,
target.
we're pretty much on track.
Mm-hmm.
About 3,000 a month. It's a little over.
Motion.
Should that change your vote, Leanne?
No.
Alright.
That was just this past week. Is that totally up to date? Does that include Nebraska?
It's up through April 12th, Leanna. That's
Yes,
about
that
12
would-
days ago.
So
It
was it?
probably does not include Nebraska.
Okay,
The non-reconciled travel is not on there.
okay, okay,
So
so,
there's still some travel out there yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
The motion was made and the second, and it is passed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on to item 6. Got the discussion approval of the ICBG swimming pool project. We have someone to make a presentation?
Yes. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Per the last PBC meeting, I know there was a lot of questions that had came up, and I apologize for not being in attendance to kind of address them. And so I went ahead and did a second summary on those concerns and kind of given more information that I got from my NOFA training on that day. Kind of wanted to share that with you guys also. So if there's any questions from the summary or anything else that you really want me to address, I'll be more than happy to. Angela, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, and I want to thank you, Reba, for the report that you sent out. It was very, I just liked the format, and you answered all our questions, and I really appreciate the work you did on this. Thank you.
You're welcome. There is some information on there that I forgot that I had missed. There was information that I just got today, and part of that has to do with the cost of the project. The salaries that are going in with a new lifeguard and possibly even contracting out for what you would call a pool boy or maintenance person to come in and take care of the pool, or even hiring someone on as a pool manager. We also got best guess estimates for renovation of the fitness center, which we just got today also. So I'll go ahead and start with the cost estimates that we had for renovation of the fitness center. Now, this is a necessity because where this pool is going, it's going to go right back up to the back of the building where the after-school child daycare is located on the multi-purpose building, and this would be on the east side of the building. We would end up having to remove those child playground child playground facility and everything, and because of that, we don't want those children back there. Well, I don't want those children back there. I think it's a big liability. So the idea was to renovate the fitness center and move those children under one roof and move the fitness center out and move it in the area where the after-school daycare is, with the pool as kind of like a tie-in to the wellness center. You know, you have your gym, you have your fitness center, and you have your pool. For a bare minimum renovation, we got $35,000. And for a little bit more, like flooring, paint, ceiling, up to $57,000. And this would bring it up to, you know, DHS code, because we have to have it into code. Because we're just doing, and this would also take care of the reason why this is so expensive. We have a room dedicated for a sauna and for a hot tub, an in-ground hot tub. So basically we would renovate, demo out that hot tub, fill it in and everything, and take out that mechanical closet that is also in there. which has like the electrical for the pumping, for the jets, and for the sauna and everything, and that would remove that completely out of there and essentially kind of make it into a classroom. This way, it's if kids are in there, they won't have the curiosity to want to go into this room.
So we have one there now?
Yeah.
Yes,
We have a jacuzzi in there?
it doesn't work. It hasn't. I'm sorry.
See, this is my,
I'm sorry, it hasn't, and since I've been working here, it has not worked, and I've been here for about 4 years. I don't know what the last day of that working,
it's really concerning me.
that hot tub is, because the hard water issue, and it eats up the pumps. So that's the main reason why I don't think it's been fixed, because it would just become
And how
a
much did that cost
Ongoing,
us?
yeah.
How much did that cost us? To
reoccurring
be sitting there
problem.
with the big hole in the floor.
So, and it's covered right now, they're using it as a storage facility, but they do have a jacuzzi cover over and everything. But you know, if kids are going to be in this building, I'd rather take
Oh,
all
yeah.
that stuff out
Oh,
and
yeah.
fill in that hole. This is where we get into the big dollars.
So, I have a question regarding the fitness rehab.
Yes.
Why isn't our maintenance department, our property people, doing our floors, doing our paint, doing these things? I mean, why aren't we doing our own thing? Why are we paying people to do that for us?
I can't answer that. I don't know. Maybe
Well-
there's just no resources, or maybe there's, I don't know.
I want them to be able to do that. I think they need to do that.
Well,
Why are we gonna
I
have
always
people-
wonder
there's-
what
I don't think
do our
there's that big of a
groundskeepers do in the
staff.
winter?
We have Taro to help them. I mean, this is what it's all about, guys.
Is that who you're talking about?
No, not
Oh,
necessarily.
okay.
I'm just saying, why would we add a contractor in there when we've got our own to do that? It's has nothing to do with that. Even if we have a temp pool. It doesn't make sense.
So that's the cost for the estimates on the renovation of the fitness center. And of course, this would have to be done before we even started construction on the pool.
I met some really nice guys over here at the community center on Saturday. Actually, it was Friday evening. They came from the housing office. They worked for our housing, and they were flooring over there at over there at the village, and they're doing their own floors. Why aren't we doing our own floors? Can we find out, somebody? It would probably save thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I did ask our own construction company, Kudix, to come and help.
Now, I'm
with
talking
it.
about our property.
Yeah, I understand. And there's just certain things that, that whenever we were talking that, per DHS, it has to be coded and it has to be up to a certain standard. And I'm sure that our own
Our
grounds people
fitness
can.
center?
Yeah, because if you're going to use it for a daycare, it has to be.
Because it'll be all the daycare will be in one spot, one area.
Licenses, state licenses.
And how about that spongy
certifications.
stuff that we just put in that playground, and we spent thousands of dollars for that? So what happens to that?
Well, it didn't go in the, I don't think it went into the after-school daycare because that's behind by Title VI. It went into the daycare that's over there by the fitness center. That's where they put
the
in the
little
new
ones.
mulch and stuff. That's where they put it at. They didn't use it.
So
in
is that gonna stay?
Yeah,
that
that
whole
area will
playground?
stay.
Okay,
That
okay.
playground, there's only one playground in question, which way back last year, when we were talking with Blue River, they said they could salvage that playground equipment that we would have to move, and even the shade, because those are expensive items. We would just have to either find a place of storage or have a plan to where we would want to put
Sure.
them. So
Sure.
that's another thing. But that would definitely have to be done before we started construction on the pool area.
Those Otos do all their own stuff.
So do the
They make a
highways,
lot more money than
but,
we do.
yeah.
Well, they could save a lot more money
Yes.
using our own.
I totally
Just doing
agree.
business different from what.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's the estimates, and that's the best guess estimates, because they wasn't really able to, that can fluctuate. That's not a hard number, that's just
The 35.
the 35 to 57. Now on to the pay scale for a full-time lifeguard on duty. And I got this off of payscale.com. So this is just something that I got off the internet and everything. The average amount that a lifeguard makes is about $9.18 an hour. And the cost of us to have a full-time lifeguard on duty, with all the benefits and all that stuff, would be between $20,000 and $33,000. It depends on, you know, the skill, I guess, and how much experience they have and everything. I kind of got this rough number from Harrison. He was able to give me a 1.25 number that I times the salary by, the yearly salary by, to increase those benefits for like FICA, SUTA, health, and whatever. So this was the number that.
So that's the percentage of fringe benefits package we offer. Is
Yeah.
1.25%.
Yeah. He said that was the best average, 1.25. And he said it'd be even lower if they were part-time because it doesn't include some of that other stuff.
What was your number you had? 25,000? What?
To 33.
To 33?
22 to 33.
20 to 33.
20 to
20.
33.
Mm-hmm. And that ranges between $8 and $12 an hour. Now, I think I had some confusion about, you know, maybe doubling up on like lifeguard pool management duty. So, but I just kind of singled out the lifeguard, and I'm singled out a pool manager, which is somebody who would come in, or they're there on a daily basis, taking care of the pool, cleaning it, brushing it, checking the chemicals, making sure everything's working on, you know, whenever it's open, I guess 6 or 7 days of the week. And that average for us would be between $28,000 and $66,000 a year.
I'll do it.
And, you know, their wages is between 10 to 21, and I guess that's just based upon experience and how much they're doing and stuff. I called a couple of pool contractors today, and they were residential. I couldn't find very many, I guess, commercial that come and do like pool boy services and everything, and they charge between $120 and $200 weekly for that service.
No.
Now, even, and I say that number because, you know, there's close places by in Stillwater, but most of those places that I called today, they're like, oh, you guys are too far away, so they didn't even, you know, I was just asking for numbers, and they were already telling me no.
So I would recommend that whoever is going to manage the pool, clean the pool, be familiar with the equipment, be jack of all trades, and handle it, and that's typically what they do.
Yes, and there's some pool training. I was advised today there's some pool trainings that, you know, when the pool is complete, I guess, I don't know how much the training costs. It's, from what I understand, it's not that expensive. Send whoever's going to be in that position over there to get trained, if they're going to be a lifeguard also, because like I said, this is what also I heard, you know, doubling as a lifeguard, as a maintenance pool manager person, that they can be trained on this stuff. So the numbers that I'm given, I guess HR and maybe Harrison can come up with a salary based upon what I found. But, you know, this is just from the research that I did.
Well, I think that maybe in the summertime we might need a part-time lifeguard if we're going to open it up for the children to swim. But during the day, I mean, like right now, since one person, we should be able to handle that.
So that's what I found on the additional cost to this project and everything.
So it's about, I don't know, Ange, probably about $100,000 a year with supplies and a pool manager.
Maintenance and
Yeah, maintenance and a body.
Did you call other tribes that have pools?
No,
And
I didn't ask them because they have chlorine pools. So I wanted to make sure that I got specifics on salt water.
Well, I know they have.
Did you ever contact
I
the
think
Wichitas?
PPN has salt water.
I tried to contact the Wichitas, but they never contacted me back. Their housing authority, because they're the ones, the housing authority usually takes care of that.
Yeah.
So that was the first resource that I had, and that's the only one I knew that had saltwater pools to have those kind of things and everything. So, and of course, the additional costs are in the summary of how much cash we actually have to have in this project. I think that was one of the questions. And I just, plainly state that we had funding, and with what Pawnee Nation Department of Transportation is going to help us with, we only have $870,000 for this project. Anything above and beyond on the CM contract, we would have to find cash for. So those numbers can fluctuate, because what we got are, cost estimates from an architectural firm. They're not.
How much did they charge us?
I think it was for their contract, I think it was under 100,000.
Well, let's hope to design a pool.
Like 90, I think it was like.
Jeez Louise, man.
They
saw us coming.
Well, actually, it was way above that number, and then we negotiated down to what we wanted actually. And I think that was 10% of the project, which was about 901,000. So I think it was about $91,000.
That we paid the architect to design this.
Well, we haven't paid them anything. They haven't invoiced us yet.
But that's what it's going to cost us.
Yes, that was, if we fulfill this contract, that is what it is going to cost us. To get out of this contract, we would have to pay whatever they've done to date. And I read that in their contract on termination also.
What kind of, I don't mean to sound some kind of way, but is this the normal practice, is to spend money with an architect rather than have a pool designer come in and build the pool out, design it and build it?
Well, there's different ways to do the process of construction. Design build is basically where you would ask an architect and a CM firm to go ahead and join up in the beginning. And they come up with, and you basically ask them to submit in their design and their cost associated with that design, what it's going to be. And then they come as a team, and that's when you do the interview process and everything like that. And then you guys select who you want as a team to do the project. The con to that is, like, we kind of lose our say-so in the design because they're driven by budget. So instead of, us wanting like a special design in the tiles or anything, they'll be like, no, you can't have that because we're stuck to the budget.
Is there any problem that you see as a sourcing, contract sourcing person for the nation? Is it your practice to bring in an architect, or do you think it's more prudent to bring in a pool builder that can design that pool?
Well, I just think
And
it's
build.
best to have a pool engineer to come in and design it.
They have their own pool
What
engineers.
are we discussing? What is
We're
our
looking at the cost of this.
discussion and approval?
And my
Okay.
question, well, wait a minute, and my question is how much is the architect gonna cost? And she said $100,000. So we gotta do the math, we gotta add it in there.
So
No,
we
well,
can
that
approve it or
money-
not?
That is already budgeted out of the federal funds, so that's not included in there. That's a separate line item. They're already paid for. So I have money in the budget that does not include the building or the construction portion of the pool. That's separated out, so they're
For
taking.
future builds, for any future builds, wouldn't it be prudent to do that? I'm just asking, I mean, that's just a real throw it out there kind of question. I mean, that's just a thought.
That could be, but this is a special project where we have I know I don't have any kind of experience building a pool and everything, so whenever we brought them in and asked them for best qualifications and everything, and we had, I don't remember how many submittals, but we took, I took the people like Joe Hawkins, Chris McCrae, I forget who else sat in on that review of the qualifications
Right.
to rank them and everything, and they gave us our best three.
That's all, thank you.
I
thought that was
Rita,
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Did anybody get any figures together for the possibility of reducing the pool size and doing the splash pad to save cost on this project? Because right now, as it stands, if we go with option C at the $1.4 million, it looks like we're going to have to come up with $534,868 if we only have $870,000, which is the ICDBG grant and the Pawnee Nation Department of Transportation. So the cost to the nation would be $534,868. Is that correct, Rita?
Yeah, and that number will probably fluctuate either up or down, hopefully down. But yes, that's what would it be.
Okay. And
no,
so,
I didn't get, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't get numbers for a reduced pool or splash pad because in the grant, we didn't do it for recreational reasons. We did it for health reasons as a therapeutic. And I mentioned in my summary that, the way we can kind of change the scope of work is rewriting another proposal to have for these same fund and asking if we can change that scope of work. But because it's so, so different from what we had written, we would have to do that and wait for their approval and make sure that we have enough justification to address the health aspects and not recreational health aspects. I also wanted to mention, in the original proposal, the idea was to kind of butt the pool up towards the gym side on the east side and to utilize the bathrooms and the locker rooms in the gym. That was the original proposal because that's the way we thought we could save money, was using the original bathrooms and the original locker rooms in the gym. However, it came to me that, we didn't want to track water on into the wood floors, and there was no way to protect wood floors from the wetness of feet and stuff, or drippy bodies, whatever you want to say, to go to those locker rooms. So that's why a new location was proposed. And because even in the underground area, when we did our surveying and stuff to find out where our pipes were leading and everything, they were in that parking lot. So the best area we could find, the next best area we could find was on the east side near the child area. So this was another, and because it doesn't change our scope of work, it just kind of changes our location just a bit. We don't have to ask for permission. It's just like, okay, this is, we're still doing the same thing, and we're still utilizing restrooms.
We're not changing the scope.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right,
I just want to make that known because our numbers were way off because of the new restrooms that were created in this facility. And so when we took that plumbing, took the restrooms out and everything, and lessened the building, that's also what dropped that price down because we kind of extended. And the same thing with the pool. It was asked why it wasn't a gradient lead-in because it would extend the length of the pool by quite a bit because, it has to be so many degrees and not just drop. It has to be all the way walking in, and that would extend it by lengths. And from what the architect said, it just
didn't seem real friendly.
It just would be really out of our budget because we'd be extending the building also, and less than, and it wouldn't be a lap pool anymore, I guess.
Well, to throw the numbers out to the council, it looks like if we're gonna go with this project, we have to come up with $534,868 just to complete the construction cost. Then we have to add an additional $57,000 for the major renovations to the fitness center. And then for the first year, we're estimating a cost of annual maintenance, staffing, pool maintenance and staffing at $100,000. So that's kind of where we're at.
700,000, give or take.
So, yeah.
Angela, this is Adrian.
Yes.
I guess just your honest opinion. Can we do this or not?
We can do this. We have enough in our reserve to do this. But just know that once we do it, it's gone.
Well, let me ask you this now.
You know what I mean?
When we say we can do this, is this basic or is this with some of the frills that we want?
No, they can just take the very bottom option C.
We don't even
All
have
right.
little chairs to sit on.
No deck.
No deck.
So we'll have to bring in our own chairs in.
Bring your own chairs, bring your own pop.
So
No towel.
Rita, in this design, did they take into account the hard water that we have and the problems that we have with the equipment?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
That was in a proposal also,
Okay.
to address a water softener
Okay.
for this system. But, I'm not a water maintenance person. I just don't know. And I guess maybe that should have been my next question. What is the maintenance on the water softener and how long, what kind of life does it have? Because I think everything has a life. I just don't know what the maintenance cost would be to upkeep the maintenance on that. And that just came up just right now, so I'm sorry if I don't have that.
Oh, that's okay. It was just, Sammy's question about or concerns about the jacuzzi. And plus, we've had a couple, one person that I know, customer, get off of our water system because it, tore up their appliances. I mean, it's a lot of wear and tear on the appliances.
From what property management has conveyed to me, the hard water issue is a serious issue here, and that's the reason why they never replaced the pump for the hot tub.
You can do salt treatments too. You can do hard water treatments, with salt.
When I worked in property, we had 3 different companies come in and present to us, property committee, where they could put actual filtering systems where the water comes into the whole system because we were having the problem. That's why we have these coffee machines like that, because, we were buying this water because the water's hard, it messes up the, where it comes out and. But they had presented bids, so I mean that would be for the whole tribe.
It's just that rock salt.
Everybody here, so I mean,
Yeah.
that's what the
This is what's so
IHS
frustrating.
they have a filtering system on their water.
Yeah, and like I said, we knew that coming into this project, and that's why I had addressed that water softener for the pool system.
What is it with these? Somehow it's going to filter itself, or is it on one of those?
Well, it makes it. Pardon me.
Go ahead.
Well, just salt water is just more friendly to hard water.
Yeah. Compared to
And then also too, it'll drastically reduce the constant maintenance that you have to have with chlorine and stuff too as well.
And it will, let me get this out. Not to be completely mistaken, they still do use chlorine on a saltwater pool, just not as much.
Yeah.
The salt water, I guess, kind of chlorinates itself with the help of the chlorine.
I don't know.
So we're not completely eliminating out the chlorine aspect. That was something that I learned also. So this pool is just a pool. It's a 3-lap pool with a ramp that help, for the ADA to come in and do exercise lap aerobics and stuff like that. It's almost 4 feet deep, like 3.5 feet deep to 10 feet deep. So there's no kind of amenities like, slides or anything like that, because adding a slide in there increases the cost, not for the slide portion, it's for the electrical and the pumping system that has to go with each individual amenity. That's the reason why those were X'd out in the beginning, because it could be like $50,000 to $60,000 more for just one system for either like a current pool or for any kind of slide, or
The
even
liability, insurance liability on the slide or diving board, it's just going to go through the roof.
yeah. And
You don't
the
want
diving
that.
board stuff, we just couldn't do because it needed a certain depth.
And why are we
Yeah.
going 8 to 10 foot? I mean, why are we doing that if it's a lap pool?
It's just,
No, I'm asking you.
It was just because it was addressed in our design meetings that, we'd also want recreational too, so when kids come in, they could just come in and play and stuff, so that's the reason why it went to that depth.
No, there's no need.
if we're not going to have a diving board, I don't know why it would need
Yeah,
to be
why,
that
I
deep.
mean, you're just asking for more trouble with little kids swimming in a 10-foot pool. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And that was,
That's why I'm saying, the next time we try to do something, let's try to do it a little smarter. Let's get a pool company.
They have a committee.
I know that, but I'm saying if you had an expert pool company come in to do this, they build pools.
That should have been
high
discussed
schools,
at
high
the committee
yes.
when we were making decisions.
The high schools,
Then,
everybody has pools made.
yeah.
But 10 foot, I mean, we could probably save money by just saying, we just want 5 foot.
Well,
This was all
I'm-
addressed during the design meeting,
I'm-
and this is the
yeah.
concepts that were put out, and this is what the AE designed based upon those concepts, about what the wants and the needs were. And they
Okay.
also had the portion of our grant, that addressed everything that it had to be, what kind of material, how big, how many gallons, and all that stuff. They took that portion of the grant, and that's what they came back with. And
Okay.
all the depth and everything was part of the design concepts from the members of the committee.
Who's on the committee?
I would just say, I know I was one of them. I was in there on some of that, not all of it. Because I've been wanting this pool since I first got on council, and I thought this was something we should have had before then, and everything. Now, I didn't make it a lot of the meetings towards the end and stuff, but I thought most of the design, there was a lot of questions that was brought out. Some of the things that we're having questions now were questions in, and, man, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of the things after, everything was how it looked, how everything that we wanted, and then you start adding all the money part, in there. And
Yeah.
you start putting all the figures to it and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we had talked about, there was things about, for saving staff to put it connected to the building, with windows in there and all. I mean, there was all kinds of things that was discussed.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come back and somebody says, well, you can't do this because of this and this and this, then there's all kinds of things. I mean, got to have people in there that have those kind of questions and foresee that kind of stuff. But I mean, now, it just, well, it almost seems like we really need to redraw it, go back to the drawing board, I guess you could say, and stuff. But
It cost us $100,000
Yeah.
to get it to this point.
yeah,
I mean, it just seems,
Is that what we did with the
What?
elder building?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
This is pretty much the second time this happened, is the A&E firm that was selected. We didn't have any experience with working with them, and they really show you a really good product. Then when you start having your design meetings, and then people start coming in and wanting everything, all the amenities, included, then the price really goes up. And then the more people that you involve, the more it goes up. And so that's,
I
I
can
think.
see that. I
Yeah.
can see that.
And then we've been criticized and then we had to bring in one of our companies that we worked with previously, because we knew how they charged and we're familiar with them. And so, that's something
that
for
was
us to look
expense
at
on
in the
top.
future, is when we do approve these companies, that we, when you look at something, and remember the card they gave us? How
Yeah.
nice that was? Well, that's what, it's something that, puts us out.
Plus
Where we
the
can't
c-
afford it.
Yeah, and the committee selects 3 choices, don't they?
Yes.
And then the council votes on
They
those
come in for an
3.
interview, and then
Yeah.
they show whatever they have to show, and
Yeah.
then
And you leave those packages in here, because I wasn't on the committee, but I've looked at them.
I don't even
Made
know if
my
I was on
own
the committee.
choice.
I thought I was, but I know I was in
Well,
part
I
of
don't
it.
know that it was called the
Okay.
committee, I'm
Other
just
review.
using it, yeah.
Yes, but if there's any other questions, I mean, we do kind of have a time crunch on this, because of the fiscal year 2017 notice of funding announcement was made back on March 8th, I think I put, or maybe it was April 8th. It's out and it's due May 18th. Now, what we don't have is we don't have a project. We don't have a plan for maybe if it's a new building where to put it, or even programs that will sustain it after it's done. We got some ideas in and everything. We get ideas throughout the year. I have people come in and say, hey, we need this and we need that and everything. So I keep those in my head and stuff, so
Okay.
we can,
That's scary.
well.
No, she hasn't, I probably have one here. She's got a.
And some of them, they're listed on all of the, whenever we do community meetings and I present the package of what, projects or possible projects are, those are listed there too. So it's documented, and what is needed and everything. We need, and to get a full 800,000 to receive full points on the leveraging portion of this, and it could be cash, it could be land, it could be anything. We need $266,667 to fund 2017. If there's going to be a 2017, that I'm really unsure of too. We got about a month to push a project. If we need to, we can. If we have to.
I don't really, I mean, I would have real reservations about going after 2017 because of what we have to leverage. And I would rather put the funds into the 2 projects we already have if we decide to go forward with those than go after something new.
Have we even, has anybody even thought about the possibilities that this could sustain itself, this swimming pool?
It's a lot of money.
But if you have somebody who has the right, I mean, somehow or another, I don't recall in budget call where we give money to the fitness center, right? It sustains itself, does it?
Isn't it funded by
Substance abuse
substance
budget
abuse?
handles that.
Yeah.
And they do have a small amount of revenue that comes in, so it don't sustain itself. We use our SAP budget to staff it, and I think supply it as well. And I think the money they get off of, what do you call that, memberships and dues and things like that is very minimal. But there are some options out there for it to be a revenue-generating facility. Some of the ideas that I can think of is that we could go into a MOU or MOA with IHS where they would come over and use that facility for physical therapy. And even, even at a later date, if we wanted to do something along those lines, we can look at possible third-party billing, insurance and things like that in regard to the wellness aspect of it. We would just have to be very creative, if you will.
Well, Angela, I was just thinking too, I was trying to do the math, that if we could bring in $4,500 a month for 10 years, that would really pay for that. Okay? But one of the ideas that I have is, why aren't we leveraging IHS employees? There's a lot of employees over there that want to be in gym membership, that need a gym membership and a pool membership. And why aren't we reaching out to them and even throughout the town, and saying, hey, we've got this beautiful gym and pool, come join it.
You know what? This is one of the things I don't know why we were talking, because we've been talking about this for a long time. I've been saying that. I said, we've got this pool that can be utilized by everybody in the community.
Absolutely.
IHS for rehab. I said you're going to have pool parties. You're going to have people that's going to want to rent that place out. I mean, this is stuff that's been talked about for a while. Am I right, Reba? We've talked about this.
It has been discussed
Yes.
before, yes.
So what, am I just beating a dead horse?
Yeah,
Because I'm saying $4,500 a month. Give me some numbers.
Well, that I don't know about as far as the numbers, but as far as IHS, we've talked about that.
I know that, but we need to do it. Enough talk. Let's do it.
Yeah, and that's what that's the reason why I just said.
We
I
need
just said,
$4,500 a month.
why have we not talked to IHS?
Nobody's talked to IHS?
No, I haven't.
See, that's
See?
sort of
It's
it
a
should have been
problem.
tied in.
Should have been all tied in.
No, I was just going to say the collaboration
Yes.
would be very important
Yes.
for
Yeah.
us to pursue. that would be if we're looking to.
And then here we are on a time
do
crunch.
this.
And
Yeah, and we haven't even talked to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is the time crunch, is that because of the NOFA, the 2000?
The 2017, yes, and like I mentioned in the summary, it's kind of, we have to score perfect on it.
Yeah.
And because we already have points
I
taken
just
off
assumed.
immediately, so it's not that it can't be done, it could be done, but the lowest score last year was a 90, so we have to score a 90. Also, had notified our training group that they don't have funds for 2017 anyways, and we're just going through a process of, we're going to go ahead and submit a proposal, and if and when they get funds, they will award according to the highest scorers and stuff. 2018 is, I read the federal budget and everything. Their intentions are not to fund CDBG projects anymore. They're completely eliminating the program. Whether that's going to be true or not, that's up to our Congress and senators, I guess. I talked to HUD about that, and they also they were more optimistic. They didn't think it was going to go away completely, but they, obviously,
And be more competitive.
Okay,
Yes.
So this affects our, for something in the future, right?
Well, we don't know if there's going to be an ICDB in the future. That's for sure.
So we're talking about this.
Reba?
Yes, or I think Ms. Anson had something to say.
Hang on, and so we got this pool going on, and we've got the architect that we're spending $100,000 for. Now we're going to spend another $700,000 to make it happen for year one. What's going on with that camp? Are these engineers the same people that are designing the camp?
No, actually, I brought forth a budget to budget committee, and they went ahead and approved it, and PBC tabled it. So I'm not doing anything with the camp because I don't have a budget to work
Do
on.
not hire the engineers. Do not hire engineers for that. Let's take a minute and take a breath
That'll
here.
come before council anyway, right?
Exactly. I don't want to spend $100,000 to tell me how many bathrooms and showers we need over here. That's ridiculous.
And that
Okay.
isn't a part of the requirements
What?
to hire an engineer? Is that part of the requirements? Or
Well,
is that totally up to us?
it's helpful
It's
that
got-
we have engineers to guide us. I mean, because there's so many aspects that, electrical, structural, that we need to go by and everything.
Yeah.
But we could do it a different way, like design build and have them done together instead of having them done separately
See,
like we're doing now.
I completely disagree. There's so many pools that are being built by hotels. They do that all the
Well,
time.
that's what I'm wondering.
Well, there was no need to bring an engineering firm in here.
Okay.
I agree.
There's no guarantee that they'll approve it, and we're making points.
Okay, and Muriel just said
Okay,
that.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question, Reba.
Yes.
Is, in order to save money, like from the discussion I heard today, that the pool is 10 feet deep. If we knock it down to just a 5 or 6 foot pool, well, how much will that save us on cost?
I can get with our AE and ask them. I wouldn't be able to give you a number.
That would be taking it
Can you
back to
kind of
the
approximate? From your best guess, knowledge, skills, and working with all these projects, I'm not going to hold you to it. Can you just kind of give me a ballpark figure?
I would guess.
It's a therapeutic.
I mean, they
So you
took
just walk through it.
65, 70,000 off for the plumbing, so I'm going to guess right around there, because they did say if you add more depth, it is more because they have to bore and
They're
drill.
gonna dig.
Bore and dig down a little bit more, and then even the compaction before a shell is even put in, they have to do all of that to make sure that the ground is stable. So the deeper you go, the more money you're going to spend. That's true.
And is it ground or is it rock?
Right.
Well,
Section off the black grid.
I think it's like
I think
embedded
it's
with like
rock,
ground. They
solid.
compact the ground, and then they add like fly ash and rocks and stuff, and then they compact it some more, and then they add another layer of soil and compact it some more, and they have to pass compaction tests before any concrete is poured.
So is our choice A, B, or C?
Yeah.
Bring it back up.
And just
see.
subtract.
You can only
that
handle
sounds-
And
But
just,
I hate to take that money out of the reserve.
well, I do too. It befuddles me that we spent that kind of money to have it designed. I didn't know that wasn't the norm. I didn't realize that, in looking back at myself, to have even thought. We got pool companies all over the place that do this every day. This isn't some magic thing, guys, it's just an indoor pool. So, it is what it is. We spent the $100,000, now we're just gonna decide if we wanna spend $700,000 in our reserve. And how much is in our reserve, Ms. Thompson?
We have 2.48 million. So $2,481,070.
So they leave us 1.7.
Yes. 1.78.
Donna?
Okay, thank you. Did you say, so I just want clarification on this. If we went back to the original location, are there lines in the way?
Yeah, gas
Okay,
lines.
So it's also moved out of necessity.
Yeah,
to
we
where it's
don't
at.
have to reroute. Either location, we would have to reroute major lines. We just don't have to reroute them as much as we would if we had moved it, if it was in its original location.
I just have another point, you guys, and I know I'm gonna beat a dead horse again, but I wanna say this, and I wanna be clear, and I wanna be on record of saying this, is that how do we know, we have a jacuzzi sitting over here at the wellness center that I didn't even know we had, that's just sitting there with storage inside of it. How do we know that our big pool's not gonna look
Yeah.
like that in 2 years, because we don't have the maintenance to keep it? We can't even get walls painted, we can't get flooring done by our own people. So our own departments, that's horrible. I would expect that our departments could handle these buildings. Paint the window seals, I mean, look at them. Every time it rains, we're in jeopardy of just destroying more of our infrastructure. We can't even take care of it now. What makes us think that we're not gonna have a pool that's full of mold in 2 years? Just saying.
That's a valid concern. I think in order to do that, we're gonna have to allocate more funds to that department so that they can hire more staff and do it, or, because I think they're kind of limited with their staff right now, but.
We really need to look at that.
So we went from we went from
A therapeutic.
therapeutic pool in the beginning, but we was looking at something to make a revenue year round. Then we went and added on to the recreational type pool, which escalated our costs.
It helps.
And now it looks like the recreational pool would be the way to go, but it's costly. But it's something that we can generate revenue year round. Being in a decent pool, we're going to have to spend some money. And I honestly don't know where. And like Leanne and Sammy said, I hate to dip into our funds, even though there's 2-point-something million in there. That's our rainy day fund, so to speak.
But I think we need to look back at the reason why we wanted this pool. I think we're getting off on the cost, and we're talking about the health of our people. That's what it was all about. And these things, you can put them out there, but you got to have somebody that's going to nurture it. Just like what we had this ideal. It went to community meeting. Community decided, yes, we want a swimming pool. We want it for health benefits. That's what it started out with. Yeah, we're going to have to get somebody in there to manage it. Somebody who's going to be thinking of ways to bring people to use that pool. You're going to have your aerobics classes. And yeah, we're going to have to charge. Just like our fitness center charges. Because that's what it was designed for. Supposed to be encouraging everyone to be fit. But do you see any signs around town saying, come to Planet Fitness at the Pawnee Nation?
Yeah,
there's no advertising, there's no marketing.
You still got people that live in town that don't even know that's out there.
Yeah, so just something like that, we're gonna have to get where we're gonna have to really push something if we want it, but we definitely need to look into, the cost. There's other tribes have pools. What do they do with it? Are they just little recreational pools? And they don't charge anybody for anything,
I think that's the key. I think we need to. I want the pool for our community and our people. Like you said, they had a community meetings, and that's what they chose to do with this project. Also, since I've been on council, I've heard several people stand up and say we need something here for our kids to do. We need to have a splash pad or something like that, like Cushing had. So when we looked at this project and we opted for it, we knew it was going to cost money. We knew that. The thing is that everything that everybody brought up is very valid concerns, but I think us if we want this for our community and our people, we're going to have to put the money behind it. Now, and that means dip it into the reserves. I think we need to give our executive director the charge to look at revenue generating options for this pool, whether it be a MOA, MOU with the IHS, or any other health facility in this area or hospitals. You know, you can do contracts with them as well. So, so I guess what I'm trying to say is, are we going to? The other thing is, we talked about at the last meeting at reducing the size, the length of it. We're going to use it like a lap type pool and do aerobics. It don't need to be 72 feet wide or
10-foot deep, can't even stand, don't drown.
32 by 72.
This is
really
this is
scary.
the minimum requirements that are in the grants for the length of the pool.
And the depth as well?
No,
But
not
if
the
we-
depth.
Let's pull that depth up.
Yeah,
If we don't have any
We could
diving boards,
go back to the grant funding agency and change the scope and reduce the size,
Yes,
couldn't we?
yes, we could go and ask for approval. Yes,
yeah, as long as we don't change it, alter it too much, right?
yes. I mean, as long as we
Right, it's
stay
still-
within
it's
the
still for the health
justifications
purpose.
of
Yeah.
the goals and objectives of the reasons for the pool. Yes.
And with this pool, and I just have, does it include the lifeguard tower?
I never seen one and nothing has been discussed.
Well, you have to have one.
if it's
They-
gonna be like a aerobic type pool or something like that, I don't know. Why would you even need,
You're gonna need like a.
Oh,
like-
steps?
Yeah, like
Oh.
a bar, like a bar stool or something for
Mm.
the guard, lifeguard. Yeah, you have to have that so he can see, or she.
if we raise the depth to 8 feet or something?
I
or
say
6
5
feet?
foot, I
Yeah,
say
5 or
5 foot,
6,
I
yeah.
say 5 foot. There's no
That's
need.
deep enough to
Mm-hmm.
I say
exercise
I say 5 foot and then reduce the size, the length.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Even if we do it, by cut off a 12 feet or, I don't know. I don't think it has to be that big.
Yeah. Can we find out?
That's my opinion.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll contact HUD tomorrow and make sure what I need to do, and I'll contact our AE and find out, what cost he can provide on about reducing the depth to. And let me just get this straight because I'm a little confused. Is it 5 foot straight across or 3, 6,
No.
and then 5?
yeah, it
5 at the
graduated,
deep- yeah, 5 at the
graduated,
deep- deepest.
graduated,
Yeah.
5
Yes,
deepest.
graduated.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yeah, graduated, and then,
How much size reduction are we talking, Angela?
For lengthwise,
Now, I don't know because I don't know what standard is, and
right.
so I guess would be the next size down. Can you determine whatever that is, Reba, and go with that? I don't know. I don't know pool sizes, so I would just go with the next link down.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Your standard.
ask the AE what a standard size pool is. Do you have a capacity number in mind? Because that might help them be able to generate a size better.
What's the capacity on
Like
this?
how many?
1,000? Hey.
Hey.
What's a big pool, right? Dang, it's as big as this.
I don't know. I don't
We're
know.
here to
What do you
camp.
think, 50? Is that-
I was thinking about
Oh,
75.
okay.
I think there's like,
What's the current capacity?
I think it's around 75.
Oh, okay.
See if you could drop it down to, see what
50?
60 is.
Yeah,
See what 60 is, and
Yeah.
then I would say no lower than 40
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
but
sounds good, man.
check 60, and then I would like to say no less than 50 myself.
Yeah, me too.
but,
Right.
I'd
you
like
know,
to go with 50.
Yeah,
the
50's good.
minimum.
I mean, because if we're looking at trying to make money, we've got to get people in there.
Mhm.
So.
If we could even at least cover their salary for the year, we'd be doing good.
Well, and I've said this before in the beginning that, if this project can make a little revenue to be self-sufficient, then we're there. I mean, I don't think we went in this thinking about trying to make a whole bunch of revenue. We just wanted something here, like we said, for the youth, for the community, for people
Yeah.
around, you
Yeah.
know, health, you know, all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went in thinking that it was gonna be collaboration with IHS
Yes.
and maybe
I
the
did
nursing
too.
homes.
I
and
did
so
too,
I'd really
and
like
they
to
haven't
see us
been-
have the focus
I haven't
there.
even talked to them yet.
That was one of my main things too, is that what I was talking about with IHS,
Yeah.
you know, so kind of disappointed it was.
Yeah,
I am
but
too.
we have to watch out for budget cuts too. So,
Yes.
and just have an alternate plan in place, because I'd really like to see this pool for our community.
I just wanna know how what it's
Yeah.
gonna look like in 2 years.
Yeah. Well, we may have
But we
to
just need to make
change
sure
our
that,
lenses
the
way
upkeep
of doing
is done on it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just gonna be a charge for Andrew to make sure that it does not get dilapidated, over the course of it, and it's being maintained appropriately, you know? We're just gonna have to.
That's what
You know,
I've been
if
saying
we
about our
want this.
buildings. That's what I've been preaching about for Rome Chief, our multi-purpose buildings and all of that. You know, we have our folks in there, then they look awful.
Well, look at this. I've been
I-
talking about the carpet
Yeah. Yeah.
for years.
So, I mean, is this just gonna be just another one of those things that we get and it just looks like, you know what, in a couple years? I don't know.
If I can help not, if I have anything to do with it, I'm not gonna let
Well,
it go down.
we've had
I'm
2
gonna be
years.
mindful of it and make sure.
We've had 2 years. We've been on council 2 years, and we've been saying it, and it still looks the same. We don't even have lines on our roads. So,
Lines on our what?
our roads, they're not even painted. You just have Indian Road, you know what side to stay on.
Yeah.
They're
And we
not
got a
even
road
painted.
department.
I know that. And we have a transportation department. That's scary.
We just know.
Anywho's, all right.
Okay.
Whatever you
so,
guys
Well,
think.
Motion.
I think we've had a very good discussion on this. I think
Very
we've
good.
made some adjustments to what we want to see in this pool in the dimension wise, lowering the depth and shortening the length. And
Capacity.
we really would like Reva to carry on with what we've discussed and get some feedback from the A&E and
What is our deadline again?
Well, if we're not doing an FY 2017, then we have to be finished with this pool project that includes a closeout with HUD by, I think I listed in here as February 2021.
No, I think we'll
Oh,
get
Gives
there.
a lot of time.
Okay.
Gives us a lot of
And
time.
there's 5 years to complete a project.
Okay.
And then we have the ability to apply for something else?
If we
That's
have
if
any
we
If they
funding.
have money.
If they have money,
Because
let's do
they
this.
already have ICDBG cut out.
Yeah,
And then we have to come up
so
with
do the splash pad.
several hundred thousands of leverage.
Yeah, they would have to have a.
Yeah,
So I really would rather not
Yeah,
pursue it.
that's
And-
right.
And it's a lot of writing and a lot of research, and I hate to have our
Time.
staff do that for nothing.
So, okay, so my,
Then I throw this out there. This might be the last opportunity that we will ever be able to get another ICDBG project too,
exactly.
Yeah.
for the next at least 4 years. So I just throw that out there for food for thought.
Yeah.
Splash pad.
Well, we
true.
can use our money on all our other things that need to be.
Yeah,
On fixing up our building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's $800,000 now.
seriously, I mean, I wonder if there's any funding for rehabbing historical sites.
okay.
So where we at on this pool?
So what we need
We need
to,
to table it, how we get more information.
more information, so we need, well, we know we need that. We
Yeah.
need some more information.
I was thinking that we had to
Well,
make
I mean,
a
what-
decision by May something.
that's the deadline for the 2017 submittal.
Oh, okay.
So if I'm clear and Brian's clear that we are not doing a 2017 ICDBG.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
I know.
Yeah, that,
I don't know.
I'm
yeah,
with
we
you,
haven't made
Angela.
that decision yet.
We're not there yet.
I'd like to, if we have, I hate to not just go not apply for money.
And give it back to them, right?
You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I would say,
Let's discuss it some
keep our
more.
options open, Reva.
Okay,
So when is the deadline on that one? May
Deadline.
what?
May 18th, 10:59 p.m.
What's on the punch list next? You said it's all in your head.
There's been mentioned, of course, there's a museum.
Museum would be great.
There's an emergency, I want to say it's an EOC, but I think that's probably the wrong acronym. It's a place for emergency management services in case, you know, you could house an IT center in there and emergency services.
Data center.
Yes, infrastructure has been on there, renovations to the fire
It's brand new,
division.
yeah. What about the museum?
Here's a thought that I had about
It
the
needs it.
museum.
It needs it.
So we'll want in the museum. USDA. Now I know we've had discussions with that, but they have that grant. It's a $2 million grant for rural development and it's economic development and everything. So you know, in hindsight, I was thinking, you know, man, we should have looked at that for this pool. You know, now the thing is with that too is I don't know if they're going to have any funding.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're going to get cut like this ICDBG. That's getting totally cut, but USDA is just going to get a
15%, I think.
something like that. So, is it a possibility you could go after both of them for the same deal?
Yeah, you can.
ICDBG and USDA.
Leverage for those
And then you
funds.
can
Yeah,
always
that's what we did.
leverage.
Trading Post. It was A&A and ICDBG and a guaranteed loan.
Okay, because you know I really want us to have a nice museum too. You know, and an
Uh-huh.
ICDBG, the 800,000 is not going to
Museum would be
much.
awesome.
Let me clarify.
Okay.
When I said A&A, A&A came in to purchase. It's not construction, but it came in to purchase like equipment and conduct training to do the training.
And this is something, you know, I don't know how much of a discussion you want on the museum, but some of the things that are out there, you know, is like, you know, where do we want it, location. I know that, you know, in order to get our artifacts back, you know, that museum has to be of a specific code and everything.
Absolutely.
So we got to make sure it's conditioned and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
We got the people in
But I
place to do
think,
that.
I think for me, it's more like, you know, what location is most desirable, which is the best place, where we're not gonna have additional property being built up, or, you know, because for me, it's about development and the infrastructure that goes to it. And that way we can make sure that when we're doing these projects, we have the correct infrastructure leading to it and maybe extending out further if there's additional projects in mind in the area. Because, you know, if we stick this out in the middle of nowhere, the biggest cost is gonna be the infrastructure and bringing it, the electrical, the plumbing, and the water. That's the
Well, it
biggest thing.
seems like we already have a historical site right in town.
Well, let's move on. We've
Yeah.
getting away from our
Yeah,
pool.
that's right.
So let's talk about
Okay.
the possibility of tabling the pool, swimming pool project till our next meeting. So we'll have some more information to get us.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Do you have everything you need, what everybody's asking of you?
Yes, and if
Are you
I
pretty
just,
clear?
and I'll just go back and watch the video. That's what I did last time.
Oh, okay.
Hey, it's one, yeah.
And Reva, if you have like an answer, like this Thursday, if you want to put a meeting out, you know, for us, we could just do a call in and all of that. You don't have to wait 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to, but you
Yeah.
know, people want to. You know, I always say that if we need to come together, we could come together. All we're doing is just discussing about things. You know?
Right.
But if you need something approval, then we have to have a special council meeting.
Right, that's what I'm
before the-
saying.
Yeah.
But we,
But there ain't no problem calling those either.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that. So don't think you gotta wait 2 more weeks and go, oh my God, we gotta wait 2 more weeks.
Okay.
No,
Called in, yeah.
we're
Because
available.
I don't want you to feel no pressure or crunch time
Yeah.
or, you know what I mean? Like we're
Yes.
waiting till the very last minute.
But don't be calling those
I'm-
engineers till we figure it out next time.
Okay, well then I'll let Brian know whenever I'm ready and
Yeah,
he'll go through the proper channels on calling a meeting.
all right, very good.
Yeah, let's let Brian do it.
All right, Brian, you've been really quiet back there too, notice that.
Okay.
Thank you, Reba.
Thanks, Reba.
Good job.
Motion has been
Need any
made
help,
to
let me
table
know.
the pool project at this time until
Second.
more information. And the second has been rendered by
The motion was
Adrian?
by Tammy,
No, Donna.
and it was seconded by
Adrian. I'll call for a vote.
Tammy Littleson, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Tammy Edson,
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Yes.
Adrian Spotted Orchard.
Yes.
Leanna Keith.
Am I too loud?
Oh, no,
Just a little.
that's okay.
No, we can hear you.
Sounds like you're in the O.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
Thanks, Reba.
You're in a cave. Eh? Okay, moving on. Approval of resolution number 17-31, election commission appointment. I believe we have a person that was interested in that position. What's that? Oh, it was,
I make a motion to approve resolution 1731 appointing Kyla Wichita.
I'll second.
motion's been made to appoint Kyla Wichita to the election commission. And,
Margaret.
Twins.
Oh, Margaret.
and it's been seconded by Adrian. And we'll call for the vote.
Tammy Littleson, yes. Angela Thompson,
Yes.
Tammy Edson.
Yes.
Donna Hare,
Yes.
Adrian Spotted Orchard.
Yes.
Leanna Keith.
Yes.
Motion's been made and seconded, and it has passed. And so Kyla Wichita is now a member of the election commission.
Yay.
Okay, next, we have a presentation of the charter school.
Joanne.
This is like miscellaneous meetings, and that was the only purpose of having it was to do rehab. To do, because I was the one I said, when I got
No, I haven't eaten all day.
we talked about
And thank you,
diabetes,
staff.
you know, we talked about, we had all these things in there. I'm disappointed that it wasn't
Maybe
really
grab some chicken strips.
because they could have really offset it on that cost.
Well, that's something you need to find out.
is her degree
Turn my chair, I just sit over there.
Well, well, that's a problem. Spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of
No,
thousands
that school project really did get away from
Millions of
us.
dollars responsible for that?
It was supposed to be,
And
we,
I thought it would be like
just like what
engineering
Donna
or
said,
something.
you know, we've had these problems before, you know, just with architectural firms.
When you go with somebody, when you look at
Well,
something
just
like
like,
that.
just like that one time we had, I think it was for the elders, there was an Indian couple that were great, and we wanted to help them out, and thought they'd help us out with this, and it's like, oh, no, it's all the time, there's no problem. So we get.
Darla's in the restroom, but just fill it over. And they'll present on the charter school what we had in the proposal meeting.
do it.
Are they introduce them or?
Yeah, oh yeah. Bill Goldberg and Starla, they both are partnering together to present a Pawnee Nation charter school here to partner with the college. This is just a proposal that they feel fit here, and they wanted to present it to y'all to see if they have the council's okay to start the assessment phase of it. Am I correct?
The community year.
Okay. And then you get more explanation
Cool.
of what.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you all for your time. My name is Phil Gover.
of the other Govers in the world. My dad is Kevin. He's the director of the NMAI out in DC. I work for an organization that I created last year called the Sovereign Schools Project. The Sovereign Schools Project was sort of a brainchild of mine that really stems out of a change to Oklahoma charter school law a couple years ago that allows Oklahoma's federally recognized tribes to authorize or sponsor their own charter schools in their communities. My idea, the grant funding I raised to support this work was really about forging the initial connections with tribes to first sort of help them, sort of guide them in thinking about and planning around, like what is a charter school? How do we authorize one? How do we support that school once it's been established? And then partnering with an organization called the NACA Inspired Schools Network, or NISN, to partner to work with tribes on school design itself. So I'm a project manager. I know how to raise money. I know how to talk with state legislators. I know absolutely nothing about building and designing schools from scratch. So my partner in the work, and Starla's handing out some more details. NISN stands for the NACA Inspired Schools Network. NACA is the Native American Community Academy, and it is a charter school, a charter junior and senior high school in Albuquerque, New Mexico. NACA was founded in 2005, and so it's been around about almost 12 years now, and is one of the best schools in Albuquerque public schools. And one of the great things about NACA is their approach to thinking about education and educating Native students in particular. Their student body is about 90% Native American. They draw an intertribal mix, so kids from the Pueblos, kids from Navajo Nation, kids from all over the place. There's about, I think they have like almost 500 kids at their school, coming from like 70 or 80 tribes. So very intertribal sort of makeup. But the heart of their curriculum is they sort of take a standard kind of college prep high school curriculum, and they put it through a process of redesign that they call indigenizing or decolonizing curriculum. So they go in, they climb in, they pull out stuff around, well actually no, they don't pull out. What they do is they sort of identify areas where a Native perspective might be really beneficial to the kids in the classrooms. And so they're, with the underlying theory being that by introducing students to curriculum that is culturally relevant, the kids learn more and they connect more with rigorous curriculum. This has ended up being the case. So 100% of the kids that attend NACA graduate and go to college. And it's something like 70% of those graduate from college within 5 years. So they have an outstanding track record of doing this, and the NACA Inspired Schools Network was created to really meet tribal demand in New Mexico for designing schools for other Native communities in that state. I was able to raise the money last year to get those, to get that organization to move its fellowship program, or to create a fellowship program for Oklahoma residents that essentially did the same thing. And so the proposal that we sort of put in front of the tribe was really born out of really Starla's experience working for Pawnee Nation College, and seeing an opportunity where one, the college, by partnering with a charter school that the tribe can create by sort of fiat, the college's own finances can sort of be made sustainable or made more sustainable, because all of the students that you have attending your charter school get state aid to fund the school operations. So without going like too much into the weeds, in the proposal you'll sort of see like we cost out, or we estimate revenues from state and federal funding sources based on the size of the school. So there's a state per pupil funding formula. It's kind of a pain in the neck, but once you kind of understand the ins and outs of it, it's pretty straightforward. The estimate here is for a school that starts in its first year with 9th and 10th graders, about 40 in each class. And you'll see here the amount of sort of revenue generated by those 80 kids in total. The other thing I should mention is the organization that I represent, and that's really sort of offered the grant money to build Tribe's capacity to do this work, has also pledged charter school for every school that a tribe authorizes in the state of Oklahoma. That school will receive a gift from the foundation in the amount of $325,000 to essentially pay for kind of the startup costs of beginning a charter school. And this ends up being this is critical funding, because there's a lot of work that goes into everything of like starting a school up from scratch before you even have kids in seats and the state starts paying you money for educating them. And so the charter school startup funding really sort of enables a team to work on creating the school and finishing off that curriculum design and sort of various aspects of operationalizing the school. Last but not least, and then maybe let Starla talk a little bit about kind of our initial ideas for what the school could be, is we have a list of sort of some things that we would ask for from the tribe in terms of like making the project go. There's a couple of, I'll sort of highlight those really quickly. And then the first is once we got the project underway and we began our community consultations, and we came up with a good idea and a design for a new school, the tribe would have to pass a tribal council resolution to authorize that school. Once that authorization was given, the tribe would negotiate with the school leadership team a contract that defines for the school how the tribe is going to measure its performance. Once that contract is signed by both parties, then the school can begin receiving state and federal money for its operations. So we'd need the tribe to authorize the school once we had a school design set. I know there's been some challenges at Pawnee Nation College recently with the administration, with the trustees. We would also ask that as we build the partnership between the college and the charter school, that the council would assist us with the sort of change management process of working with the board of trustees at the college, and with staff to the extent that that was needed. But that would be another ask. I think at first, for at least this initial startup phase of the school, a sustainable funding from the tribe itself would probably be necessary until the state funding and federal funding started kicking in. So that would be up until year one, whenever the school would start. That reminds me that the timeline that we have outlined in this initial proposal sort of sets out a 2-year planning cycle that would start this summer and stretch until August of 2019, which is when the school would start. But given the size of the school we're proposing, which is pretty small as far as schools go, and the fact that there's already a facility here that we can lean on for classroom space, and that the tribe would be authorizing the school through the business council, we actually think that we could probably start in 9th grade as soon as the fall of 2018, so next fall, if we got started on the project this summer. So in that case, if you look at this projected enrollment by grade on one of these tables, this table would change a little bit. Year one would just have 40 ninth graders, and then we'd add a grade every year until it was at 9th and 12th. The last piece was just pointing out that the running a school, day-to-day operations. There's going to be a lot of places we think where there could be some overlap between what the school needs so far as its operations are concerned and what the tribe's able to and what the tribe's already doing. Some of the ideas that we were just sort of brainstorming were things around food service, transportation, things like that are areas where the school could actually contract with the tribe using its state aid to pay for services that the tribe could then provide the school directly. And that's those are sort of the major asks in terms of what the project will cost the tribe. The other thing I'll point out is Starla has actually applied for and been offered the NACA Inspired Schools Network Fellowship to work on this project with the tribe. And so with the council's blessing, once her contract with the fellowship started this summer in July, we would sort of begin our full-time work. And we have a whole team of people, so it's not just Starla, it'd be me. We have a school design leadership coach that works in Oklahoma City who would also be working on the project. And then there's about 5 other sort of backup kind of designers and administrators who help us design schools, and they're based in New Mexico. But they would travel here probably every other month to assist us in sort of the design process. The last thing I'll mention about NISN is when Kara Bobroff, she's the executive director of NACA in New Mexico, when she founded the Native American Community Academy, it was what it really sort of hinged upon, like what the real pivotal idea about NACA wasn't that you could create a space that both provides a rigorous curriculum and also makes Indian kids more secure in their identity. That wasn't the special idea. I think great Indian educators have known that for a while. What was special about Kara's idea and approach to education was the idea that the school that you actually build from scratch, that you design for Indian kids, that school's design should emerge from community consensus. And so our approach to designing this school, while on paper is sort of thought of as being an early college high school, that's like an initial point that we're going to start from. The actual turn, like what we actually build and what we propose in a charter school application, for instance, that the Business Council would eventually approve, would actually be a school that is co-designed with the people in this community. And so once we sort of began our work this summer, the first 3 or 4 months, all we're really doing is holding a lot of community meetings to understand for the people who are actually going to use the school, what's needed in this community, where are the deficiencies in the education system that sort of our kids are currently in, and what do we wish was true about education in this town, and what is the tribe's role in thinking about education. These are all questions that you guys might ask us, and we might have some opinions on what that looks like, but until we know what the community actually thinks, we don't really go into this process with a lot of preconceived notions about what this community needs. We will have a whole community building and grassroots organizing process of actually hearing what people think needs to be built, and then we're going to go and design a school that's for them. And so that kind of hits all the major points. I'd love, Starla, if you want to talk a little bit about kind of like why, what made you think about applying for the fellowship, and then why like this community, then you can connect that to the work that you want to do.
I had a friend actually who was working with the fellowship, and so he mentioned it to me, and it was like, this is something that I could see myself doing. And I approached, having established some working relationships, I approached Andrew with the idea, just to kind of bounce it off of him to see if it might be a possibility for a future school, because there are 2 right now that are in the works in Oklahoma for 2 charter schools. And this next year there'll be 3 more, hopefully. Well, I'll be in one of those the next 3 that are going through. And so, and I'm not sure where the other 2 are going to be located, but this is the first truly rural school that we're looking at. Right now, the other 2 is Ada and Tulsa.
Ardmore.
You
keep calling it Ada.
I know. Ardmore and Tulsa. And so they're not as rural as Pawnee is. But I knew that that charter school had been mentioned around here. I know that Allison and I had attended the charter school training that I went to prior to all of this happening. And so I already had that training coming in. And 20 years experience teaching and having my principal certification and all that kind of business, it all kind of just falls into place. So when I mentioned to Andrew, his concerns were the strength and sustainability of the college. And so that's whenever his idea of putting something together that could help substantiate that foundation for the college, and that is not something coming out of Pawnee Nation pockets, so to speak. So that's where it kind of came from, of going with the secondary level. There was a lot of question of why we didn't start early childhood, and that was my first initial thought was the younger students and growing up through it. But as time has gone, I think I presented to Andrew back in December, and as time has gone on, I have seen examples, and I have studied and read and checked out books and researched, and this is a unique opportunity. I believe there's another tribal charter school that is in conjunction with a enrollment with a college at the same time, so it'd be unique, and which is awesome. But it's not the first one, not the first school altogether that is doing this. So I think it'd be quite beneficial. Having been an educator, having been an Indian ed educator, and a special education teacher, I have witnessed and experienced many of the inappropriate categorizations, I don't know how to say it politely, categorizations of many of our students. And they're inaccurate. And I have seen students who have all the capabilities and knowledge and skills that are categorized behavior problems or have learning disabilities, and when really, as I always tell my students, it's not that, it's that teachers have teaching disabilities. And that's a whole other ball of wax. But but I've seen those students that are dropping out are because they're discouraged. They've been told they can't do, and when they can. And so that's always been a concern for me. Whether they're a Native American student or not, that's a concern. But I have seen and experienced where population proportion is just more Native American students. Population proportion-wise are categorized special education. They're more population percentage-wise, they're the more the dropouts. And you can just go on, and I'm sure some of you heard some of the statistics. And so, and just looking at Pawnee School specifically, just one little piece of data that I was able to pull up was that as far as graduation rates, and I don't have this written down, it's just something I pulled up. The graduation rate for Native American students is 50%, and if you compare that to the white students, they're 80%. So there is a gap, obviously. And so there's a huge concern. And, you know, and my husband's a principal of a public school, and I know that every teacher's doing the best they can. And there's no intent on anything, but it is what it is. And I really believe that, and you know, like I said, my husband's a principal, so he's, you know, I'm kind of working in conjunction with what he's doing, but he's in full agreement and he sees it. He knows it exists. There's no denying it. So I know that that's something that's a huge concern for him as well as myself. And he's a white man, so, you know, no sorry about that, but he is. But, you know, can't help it, you fall in love with. But he sees it. And it's something that I have seen, and I've had a chance doing a research assignment I had up in Yakima. I saw a secondary 9th through 12th grade school where Yakima was having, and their student body is a tribal school, and the successes they're having there is remarkable. And the student respect, the student involvement is so much different than what the students were experiencing prior to attending the Yakima school. So I've seen that aspect of it, and and that kind of really helped me. I was glad to have that opportunity to be able to see that. And it also helped me in the area of the 9th through 12th grade school situation. So as far as we're not looking at just Pawnee, and we're looking at opening it up to area schools like within a 30-mile district, radius type thing. I know that Pawnee schools sends their co-op students to Cushing. So Cushing is a very distinct opportunity. And within that 30-mile radius, we got Yale, Jennings, Glen Cove, Cushing, Oilton, Cleveland, Perry, Red Rock. Stillwater's 32 miles. I think that there's a definite possibility of not just here, but in surrounding areas of students who and their families who may desire to have a culturally relevant education that helps students with their foundation.
In our experience, so Starla mentioned I neglected to, which is I'm remiss for that, which is that we actually have 2 other schools that are actually currently under design right now. One of those schools is based in Tulsa. It's a middle school, and it looks like it's going to be a partnership school with Tulsa Public Schools. So we'll get a building and have some of our operations handled by TPS, and we'll be the ones hiring the teachers and designing the curriculum. The other school is based off of a really cool model for elementary school learning called expeditionary learning, or EL. The EL model has been implemented in a lot of really successful schools around the country. There's only one other school in Oklahoma that currently is in the process of implementing an expeditionary learning curriculum, and that's out in Tulsa. But the school in Ardmore is going to be a pre-K through 8 expeditionary learning model. And expeditionary learning is really based off of kind of individualized kind of project work. So even at the kindergarten level, the curriculum and their approach to teaching kids is demands sort of a slightly different skill set from teachers, but it's a proven model that's done wonders for math and reading scores in underserved communities in other parts of the country, and we're going to bring it to Oklahoma and implement it at a school in Ardmore that'll open next fall, or not this fall, fall 2018. So we have 2 projects underway right now, and then the other 2 projects that we're working on beyond potentially this one will start this summer, and one is a proposed school in Oklahoma City, and the other is a proposal to work with the Comanches, Kiowas, and Apaches on a sort of revival of Fort Sill Indian School in Lawton. And we're working with, we have a fellow identified in Lawton who's going to be working on that as well. So we're kind of busy and stretched around the state, but this is exactly sort of where we wanted to be. And I think when I was thinking about where we wanted to work and the kind of impact we wanted to have in Oklahoma in order to show people what's possible, working in a more rural community, in a smaller community like Pawnee, was right up at the top of my list, in part because I think one of the challenges that we've had, education in Oklahoma in general has, but particularly in the rural parts of the state, it just, I would say it's a combination of 2 things. It's low expectations and a lack of knowledge or belief in what's possible. And so I think when we talk about innovation, we talk about what it takes to sort of turn kids around in their education and their trajectory in life. That innovation, working on something like this in this community and connecting that to a tribal college, connecting a charter school to a tribal college, is the cutting edge of some of the cool stuff that's happening across the country with charter schools in general. And I know the last thing I'll throw in there about charter schools is they've kind of been in the news a lot because of our current president's kind of boosterism around charters. This is maybe one of the silver linings of the election in terms of Native issues, is that the president will be funding charter schools in a way that will be significant. And so if tribes are positioned with their own authorized schools as the new grant making from the Department of Education comes out, innovation in the charter school space with tribes and tribal charters will attract federal money, especially if those models launch successfully. The last thing I'll say, and then I'm happy to take as many questions as you guys have, is Sovereign Schools Project was started, I think, in the context of tribes are used to operating on the periphery when it comes to education. we fight for the same 10% of the pie that is the entire spending on education in this country. The other 90% comes from your municipality and your state. And so by thinking about charter schools, by thinking about going this route, I picked the name Sovereign Schools Project not as an accident. It's because I believe that education is the sort of one of the last frontiers of what our tribes don't have enough say in determining, and self-determination and exercising our sovereign powers as nations. This path through authorizing schools is one way to begin reclaiming that in a major way. And like all muscles, I think sovereignty is like a muscle, and if you're not exercising it, you're going to lose it. And so that's what I do, and that's what we're proposing. To take questions.
Aiden?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to come here this evening and
Thanks for having
present
us.
to us, you know, and I myself, I'm all about this, you know, myself. But I do have questions, you know, and I think one of the questions I had you just commented on is about Trump. You know, being that Trump came into office, you know, this has really generated a lot of steam. What about after Trump? You know, what's the effects of the charter school all of a sudden just, you know, not saying any charter schools, but the whole focus on charter schools now.
Yeah.
And when he's out, if he's out, whatever, then that diminishes too.
Yeah.
So, how's that going to affect charter schools? I mean,
That's a great question. So, I don't. As so far as charter school funding and federal grant making is concerned, I think it can't. It's only mostly good news, I think, right? So if the president loses the next election and that funding goes away, we'll basically be at the status quo. The Obama administration pulled a lot of its charter school funding over the last 2 or 3 years. They have some small grants right now, but they're extremely competitive. They're called CSG, or Charter School Growth Grants. NACA actually won one last year, so they have a proven model that has been recognized at the federal level as being successful, and they want a federal grant to keep expanding it. If that grant money went away, it doesn't really affect the finances of an individual charter school a whole lot, because charter schools are treated like their own independent school districts for federal grant making purposes. So you'll still get Title I money, you'll still get Impact Aid, you'll still get Title III, you'll still get Title, well, depending on how your JOM's organized, you can still have access to Title VI money. That money still flows to a charter school regardless of the federal funding picture, because those title programs fund all public schools in the country, and a charter school is just a public school. It's just like any other public school, it's just sort of considered its own school district for those purposes. The other thing is that most of the money that funds charter schools, funds really public education in the state of Oklahoma anyway, comes from the state. So that the federal spend on charters doesn't really affect most charter school budgets in Oklahoma, because 80% of the revenue that funds school operations comes from the per pupil funding formula in the state.
And then it just makes it worse that we're like one of the worst.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I will say that Oklahoma's legislature is huge on charter schools, and that's part of why we got it passed, where tribes could be part of charter school. I was there when it was they passed it. The day they passed it as a member of the Oklahoma Council for Indian Education, and so Oklahoma's going to support it regardless of whether Trump's there or not. At this, but I think that would be wise, budget-wise, to make sure and not become dependent on any kind of increase at this point,
That's true.
and just budget according to what we know is going to be there.
Oh yeah, and the
whatever-
budgets that we put out there are all, when I say the federal money is the title money. That's pretty much guaranteed. I didn't project revenue-wise any other grants that, like, for instance, the school would probably apply for other federal grant monies from the Department of Education, especially if they were charter school oriented, but without knowing what that could be, I didn't build that into the budget. So the federal money, if you're looking at the revenue, is really just kind of like the rough estimate in Oklahoma, in an Oklahoma context, of what the per pupil funding for the federal level looks like. And that's all of the title programs in ESEA. The state funding formula, you're right, Oklahoma is like 48th in the country in the level it funds its public schools. And that Yeah, that sucks. That said, what makes a school like what we're proposing viable, actually, is that the tribe already has a building, already has a set, like an infrastructure within the college that we can use and piggyback on without having to spend the money, right? So when you look at what makes charter school budgets at the statewide level, in other places in Oklahoma work, they don't unless the schools are massive. So if you look at charter school systems in Oklahoma City, like Santa Fe South or Dove, they're big schools, more than 300, 400 kids in the school. That's just so they can make their budgets work. Because you're right, a small charter school in Oklahoma doesn't work if that school has to pay rent, pay for all of its utilities and stuff out of its own pocket. But if you're getting some of that stuff in your arrangement with your authorizer, as say happens at like Tulsa Public Schools, where Tulsa Public Schools authorizes like our partnership school that we're building with them, we're getting a building for free from Tulsa Public Schools to do that. And that's going to make our budget work. Like our budget doesn't work if we have to go and renovate a bowling alley and squeeze 300 kids into it. Or it works if we squeeze 300 kids into it, but we only want to squeeze like 100, 120. So you're right, that's a good question about school funding level. And this project really only works using the existing infrastructure of the tribe.
Yeah, I just asked Cynthia if she had a
Oh,
charger.
I thought you had a
I said Cynthia if she had a phone charger.
Okay, so is this charter school, is it gonna be only for native?
Good question. No. So under Oklahoma law, public schools have to be accessible to all people.
Well, I asked that
That
because
said-
the college isn't just for Pawnees
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah,
natives,
exactly.
it's open to anybody.
Yeah. So the
that's why I
charter
asked
school will be
the
open to the
question.
public. Anyone can enroll. In practice, that doesn't mean you actually have to go out and recruit students from all over. We could decide that we only want to recruit students in set numbers of communities, and so we'll go and we'll do events with parents and families and stuff to let them know that the school is starting up, and that's how we would approach school student recruitment. But anyone who applied to the school, so long as it's not maximum enrollment, which is determined by the tribe, has to be admitted. And then once you hit enrollment, your max enrollment, you have to run a lottery for all slots at the school. And that lottery has to be randomized and actually overseen as a federal process, and we know how to do all of that in terms of operationalizing.
And then Pawnee students, aren't they priority over any other students?
Well, so the only way, so there are a couple of bases under state law in
Pawnee
which you can,
City of Pawnee.
yeah, in which you can discriminate against students in a public school. The main way that other charter schools in like the cities do it is you can discriminate based on geography. So a good example of this is the John Rex Elementary Charter School in downtown Oklahoma City. They actually have a recruitment zone where they say if your parents or if you live within a mile of Rex Elementary, you get priority in our lottery for a seat at the school. And so then they run two lotteries. They run a lottery for all of the kids that fit that definition. They get in first, and then any seats that are left, they run a second lottery for all of those seats. So in practice, what we could do is we could authorize a charter school, and we could set a geographic zone and say, hey, if you live within 1,000 feet of Pawnee Nation College, like you're in, or you get priority for enrollment. So we can set a geographic zone and discriminate on the basis of geography, but not race or religion or socioeconomic status or special education status. That said, I have it on pretty good authority that next legislative cycle, so next year, the question of charter schools running weighted lotteries is going to get brought up in the legislature. And if charters are able to run weighted lotteries, then we can actually run a lottery that like weights towards socioeconomic status in the favor of poor kids, not wealthy kids. So it'd be like if we want this school to be for like mostly kids who are on free reduced lunch, if the state law were changed next spring, then we could run a lottery like just like on that sort of priority order, and we could do that. But as a matter of state law, it's just mostly geography is the main thing that we can kind of design around for in terms of enrollment. The other thing I would mention though in practice is that like the schools that this is the case at NACA. I mean, NACA is open to the public. It's been open to the public for 11 years. It's still 90+% Native enrollment because it's mostly Native families that want to send their kids to a school called the Native American Community Academy. Who knew? That said, the 10% of kids who use the school who aren't Native, their parents send them to NACA because NACA has an excellent track record at sending poor kids to college. And so if you're Latino and you live on the southeast side of Albuquerque, and NACA is 1.5 miles away, like why wouldn't you send your kid to NACA as opposed to Albuquerque High or Rio Grande High, when NACA has such a phenomenal track record in education and in curriculum, regardless of whether or not they're going to be reading Louise Erdrich instead of some other white author in their Native American literature class. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So, listening to you, I'd like to know, hypothetically, there's 100 children that attend Pawnee school here in town.
Yeah.
What's going to be the impact of those schools if we pull 30% over here?
30 kids. That's a great question. So, I think we'd be pretty strategic in our enrollment, like how we'll, not enrollment, our recruitment, excuse me. As Starla was saying, I think we wouldn't try to just pull from Pawnee in the school district in terms of the students and the seats. We would also target surrounding districts and their 9th graders, and particularly Native students in particular. I also think that the opportunity, depending on what we hear from the community, I think this is also an opportunity to approach what's commonly thought of as being alternative education in a kind of a different way, and bringing kids back into the system that are actually not in it right now, and sort of having a level, or if we can get really good at remediating and turning around and putting back on a trajectory to graduate from high school, then actually what we're doing is a net in terms of the overall education system, because we're going to be hopefully drawing kids back into that system. But I think a combination of that plus drawing from the surrounding districts and also keeping the school small, like we can set enrollment at a relatively small number to, I think, minimize that impact. I would also say that there's going to be parts of the school, frankly, where we're going to possibly have to contract out with the local district to do things for us. And so our approach at NISN in building partnerships with the school district is to actually think of districts as partners and not have that relationship be adversarial. I think that hasn't gone well in other charter schools in rural areas, like if you've been paying attention to like what happened in Seminole County or what happened out in Norman. Those school leaders started out their proposals in a pretty adversarial way, like where the district is the enemy and we're the team that's gonna break down the system and revolutionize everything. I prefer a much more collegial approach to working with the district, in part because the district has a lot of knowledge and the district has a lot of capacity and ability.
Well, we have a great partnership with that school district here.
Totally, yeah, right. And so you wouldn't want to affect that much. And I think that's actually been shown in our we were able to find a path to partnership with Tulsa Public Schools. And
it's a much bigger school district.
And I feel really good that Ardmore City Schools is going to approve our charter on their school board this summer when we submit it in May.
I see. Okay, thank you.
I think along with what she's saying, what I could see happening is every parent will want their kids, their Pawnee kids, to come out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a say-so of like pulling out,
Yeah.
Because, I know I got a lot of friends that's got kids going up here, and they hate it. There's still racism and stuff that goes on. There's still things that they have issues that are going on. And then we went up to the school board the other day, and I know they're against this charter stuff. They're against it.
But they didn't want to cooperate with what we were asking.
Yeah, just simple things. Just simple things.
We were asking them for money. we give them money, but they still didn't want to cooperate.
Yeah, you know, and that's one of the things, you know, we had mentioned is that, you know, we give this school a lot of money. We bought books for them a few years ago. You know, they utilize our gymnasium, and we cut them on the rent on that, you know, and that affects our budgets and stuff too, you know.
Sponsor the baseball team.
Yeah, sponsored the baseball team, and then also, you know, we put in a lot of money to the tribe with our gaming revenue, you know, and we're still having to pay, you know. I mean, you know, so I see, you know, if we was to do this and let's get going, you know, you're gonna have parents wanting to pull him out, you know, and say, hey, I want to go out here to the Pawnee Nation, you know. And I think then we'll start having our problems. Now, I'm not saying every Pawnee kid, you know, there'll be others that want to stay up there, you know, and stuff. But, you know, myself, I grew up in one of the other jurisdictions that you're talking about, you know, down at Yale, you know. And I didn't care for Pawnee that much, you know. I never came over, had an option to come over here several times. But if we had our own school, I'd have been here. I'd have told my grandparents I want to come here, you know.
And I think one of the demographics that I think that where I see is imperative for us is that safety net for those students who are more likely to drop out. Those are, I think, the ones that we, our tribal nations are missing out on because they have unique skills and abilities that are not being nurtured and built up, and they're ending up in prison or just on the streets or just surviving hand to mouth because they weren't encouraged, and they have all the skill set in the world that they could be doing and being leaders and being part of the tribal community. And those are the ones that really just break my heart because I know that they exist. But then again, you also one of the things that always comes up is the sports issue. We won't have a football team, you know, so that's going to be something that students, you know, won't want to come over here for because they may want to stay and play football.
Well,
So
here's another thing with that.
But
In actuality, we own that football stadium. I mean, we do. I mean, we're just gonna have to go to court over it.
There
I mean,
isn't a fellowship, but you can get where the students here
you
play
could
football.
and that's something that would have to be conducted and worked out with the school, and that's not beyond the realms of possibility. I know that, you know, I mentioned my husband. He is drum right schools, and their students that are at Oak Grove up through 8th grade, and they come and play on his middle school basketball team and baseball and football team and whatever else. So there are ways that you can work that out, and
schools can sign agreements with to share athletes and to use programs. I know, like at NACA, like they do their football program through a local public high school, but NACA runs its own basketball team, right? And they're great. So there's some give and take there with districts. But again, that also reinforces the point that not viewing the relationship between the school and the district as being an adversarial one, but one of partnership, is having that attitude about it is really important, even if initially it's going to take some hand-holding to get the district to see things your way.
Good
so
luck.
year one, year
Been
one
for
would
that
be
school board.
2019. Is that what
18.
We would probably shoot if and this is where you guys' input would be really needed, and even the community input. But if we wanted to get the school up in 1 year, which would be opening fall August 2018, I would shoot for just a 9th grade and nothing else. Start with a 9th grade and build up. And if we had a 2-year ramp up and look to start in the fall of 2019, so August 2019, I think we could go with a 9-10 build out and see where and hit those.
And do you know how many Indian students are in freshmen in the 9th grade here at Pawnee?
In Pawnee, it's pretty small. I think it's like
that's what
I want to say it's maybe 70 or 80. Might even be.
I wouldn't
I
say
know
that.
Is it
Our
not even quite
graduating
that?
class
I think
is
that's
like 30.
I think that was
30.
for the whole school is about 70 or 80.
Okay.
So then divide that by 4, so there may be 20.
Yeah. And so then and then I think total high schools in the within a 20 or 25 mile radius was I want to say high school students was closer to 600 or 700.
Probably so. Yeah.
In the surrounding area.
No. would we look at the jurisdiction of the Pawnee Nation?
So the way that works is the school, under state law, the school has to physically be located on a within a tribe's former treaty boundary area. So obviously having it be based here.
Yeah.
But that's the school.
But that's where the school's
itself.
physically located. You can serve students as a charter school across district lines. They just have to utilize the sort of state prescribed district transfer process.
Okay.
And that has to be renewed every year. It's like an extra step. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but you can cross districts. And one of the interesting things that actually hasn't been totally tested yet, which will be fun, is because tribal treaty boundary areas cut across school districts and counties. We're not quite sure exactly how that's going to work because we don't have our first tribally authorized schools yet. I've spoken with a lot.
So we might be the first.
Mm-hmm.
You and Comanche, you and KCA.
Let's beat the Comanche.
I'll tell you, I have literally been working for free, and will be up until July 1st. So we are actually ahead of Comanche. So, I will tell you that.
Well, I just wanted to say something. You know, they came, Starla came and presented to us at the proposal review and committee, and the thing I like the most is that they're targeting the 9th and 10th grade. I was wondering, well, why that? And then she was explaining to me a lot of this has to do with trying to capture the kids who are kind of like behind, those that you know are at a starting high school. They're behind, they didn't catch on, so you know that they're headed for failure if they continue in the Pawnee school system. Well, this is just what talking about with just because I know, you know, my son was one of those people. Took him extra years, but he's finally going to graduate, you know, and I'm thankful for that because I know he had classmates who dropped out, and they dropped out in their sophomore, their junior years.
And if you can get those kids back,
Absolutely.
And
into
so
the system.
it's one of those things that, you know, he just wasn't learning what they were teaching in elementary, and when you can't grasp what they're teaching you in elementary, then you're behind. And they can hold you back 1 year and that's it. The rest of the time you're just behind. That's all there is to it. And they just keep pushing you through the system, being behind, you know, and when you get to one point where you're not able to keep up, and I knew some of those kids were really good athletes that could have just, you know, took the school to state, but they dropped out because they were behind schoolwork. Whatever reason it was that, you know, they weren't making the grades, they weren't there, anything like that, still yet, you know, and it's sad, I don't know what they're doing today or anything like that, but, and they were in my son's class, you know, and maybe if I wasn't such a nag, he would have been one of them dropping out too. But I had to nag him, you know, and get into, he had no interest to go to that school, and he never said anybody treated him bad or anything. I guess he was just lazy, but I nagged him.
Or you just never captured him?
No, I disagree with lazy.
He had a learning disability because in the
Teachers
third
have teaching
grade,
disabilities.
he had an eyesight problem
Some
that we
kids
weren't
do
even
not
aware
have
of till it got really bad. But he was behind. He never did catch
That's
up.
where we can teach that self-discipline.
But I will say that when I was at the North Slope visiting with them, and this is long-term out there that I really touched my heart. What they do is they used the grant that I was researching to develop this, and they started taking students who had dropped out. They have one student who's 33 who's finishing their high school diploma in their school, and so something like that in long-range planning is something that could be done as well, to where getting that high school diploma for some students and just for society a lot of times is more valuable than a GED. So completing that is big, and I think that's something in long range that could be done as well.
And NACA in the approach to curriculum development, I think, has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that if you have a school of excellence and relevance, these kids can learn. These kids can do this.
Yeah.
The relevance piece is the piece that always gets short shrift, and so when I go around, and I've heard a lot of conversations outside of Oklahoma and Indian country about charter schools and stuff, and people have been pointing to this the NAEP study that sort of shows like BIE schools do an outstanding job of incorporating culture into their schools, but they're horrible schools. Like, you don't learn a dang thing going to those schools. Whereas off-reservation public high schools might do a really great job of delivering an excellent and rigorous curriculum and getting kids to graduate from high school and go into college. But those kids don't have any culture in any aspect of what they're doing. And then you have what most people actually experience, like I probably guess like 80% of the kids out there experience, which is like a school that's neither. Like neither culturally relevant nor excellent. And you know, I think at some point the conversation around like what we should do, or what we can do and what we should do, which are actually also two different things, also needs to go back and just ask the question, like, what's actually best for kids in what we do and how we engage. And a good question for the tribe and for the business council right now and for a long time ought to be like, what is the role the tribe wants to play in local education? And set that course. You all shouldn't be getting shut out of meetings with your local school district about how to collaborate. You shouldn't have to beg for access and better opportunities for your own kids when the tribe, by virtue of being here, already gets the district and the surrounding districts a lot of extra resources that they wouldn't have if you all weren't here and if they weren't trying to educate you all's kids. You deserve more than that, and you're not alone. Tribes all over the state have the same experience. You know, unless you're like the Cherokees or Choctaws that can give millions of dollars a year into your local districts. But you know, all of our kids deserve better for the most part than what they're getting. And I think one of the best ways to make progress towards getting there is to have tribes play a much heavier role, bigger role in local ed, regardless of what that looks like. If that's just threatening to exercise your ability to authorize a school, cool. Like, all I really want is for Indian kids to have better schools.
Yes, I agree.
Bill, I attended your breakout session at Sovereignty.
Oh, cool.
And so it's really good. And
to see how far we've come.
Yes, it's really good. Have you worked with our, or had any contact with our education department?
Here at Pawnee Nation. Not in a while. Not since Allison left.
Yeah, we met with Dorna.
Oh yeah, we met with Dorna.
Yes.
But not since Dorna and Allison, not totally. So I don't know I don't know much about the landscape for education in
She's not
Pawnee.
into it as much as Allison.
Okay,
was,
cool.
But she's
Yeah, I knew
open
Allison
to
pretty
it.
well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I just got so wrapped up into this, I just didn't keep in touch.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't even
I
know
went
Allison
with
had left until
Allison
a few months ago.
Down to your office.
Oh yes, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. We all went. We hung out and we had Empire Slice.
Yeah.
But right after I met with Andrew at first and Dorna, Drea contacted me with questions and concerns and wanted to know all about it. And so I said, we met in Stillwater one time and discussed it. And I told her that there's nothing set going on right now. It's just at the proposal stage, and the community will be involved in what it determines. So,
The department has a huge role to play in the consultation process.
Yes, they've been
in the engagement process.
and they were involved on our first meeting with when Brian and I met Dorn and Brian before Phil was there, and we had discussions at that time as well. So she's been involved.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I have this, what is it, press release, March 7th.
Yeah,
You know
is
what
this
it
the
is?
superintendent's press release? Yes.
Oklahoma American Indian students leading the nation in test scores.
Yep.
How are we? Will the charter school be competing the same way?
Yeah. So my response to the superintendent's press release is,
I wonder.
is look. I think it's great that Oklahoma Native students, relative to other Native students across the country, are doing better than other Native students. But on that same exam, they're still 20, or depending on the state, they're still between 15 to 30 points behind their peers in the same system. So the idea that everything's cool because Oklahoma Native kids are doing
Yeah.
better than other Native kids in other schools is actually a really low bar for
So,
like how
okay.
what good is. And so that's an issue. I would also say that
Great idea.
NAEP is an excellent test. It's rigorous. A lot of charter schools use it to
Instead of
benchmark.
this? Okay.
Yep.
And is it better? Is it more often?
So charter schools tend to test more often
More, okay.
because they're
So they have a benchmark, maybe.
yeah.
quarterly at
Well,
least, or even-
charter schools use NAEP because the most rigorous schools in the country use it,
Okay.
and so however your
Like
students
that.
are doing on that test is a pretty good indicator of how they're doing
And it's
against
at
really great
their
schools.
range, not ninth grade.
Yeah.
Their range up here.
But
Not
the
down
tribe
here.
sets the standards of what we are supposed to meet as a charter school.
Yeah,
Oh,
and so that
okay.
so the real, and I didn't get too far in the weeds about charter school authorization policy because I didn't want to put
Well,
you
I
all
wanted
to
to
sleep.
ask you.
But the power of a tribe being an authorizer for a school, if I just had to give you like the 30-second pitch,
Okay.
it's that the tribe determines the performance framework that the school is
Okay.
judged under. And so by setting the performance framework, by saying this is the bar your school's going to hit in order to keep our authorization, that's what the school works towards, and the tribe gets to set it. And
Okay.
that's
Okay,
radical.
so that's comparable to what the Cherokees have done with the Sequoia?
Not Sequoia. So the Cherokees actually do have a charter school. They authorized the language Cherokee Immersion School in
Oh,
Colquitt.
the little one.
The little one, yeah.
ones.
They have an
Okay,
immersion
they've
elementary
been
school.
working on that for
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's going pretty well.
They've had it a year. Yeah.
Their performance framework, though, is geared towards fluency for their children,
Okay.
right? So that's a school that if you went and looked at their Oklahoma report card, they're like a D- on
Oh.
reading because, well, the test is in English and all those kids learned is in
And they-
Cherokee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so their performance framework doesn't revolve around reading scores on the OSAT or on the Oklahoma State test. Their
But
performance
that's what
framework.
the Cherokees are pushing.
Exactly.
But the
And
Cherokee
they're
wanted their
meeting the
school
standards
Yeah.
to be judged on
Yeah.
fluency and
Yeah.
how many kids at that
Yeah.
school are
Yes.
speaking Cherokee.
Yeah.
That's what the
Yeah.
Cherokees care about.
But Sequoia School also, they raise their standards, it seems like.
Yeah,
Not
Sequoia has
everyone is-
improved over time, especially. I mean, I think they've kind of gotten their act together in the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
15 or 20 years,
You have
and
to apply.
and
you
have become much more rigorous.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's a slightly different process because that's a BIE
Yeah.
grant school,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and they actually get more money than
Yeah.
than the state school does.
So they
But
need to, yeah.
but yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what do you need of us if we, do we make a decision now, or what?
I'm not
do
ready
we-
to make a decision.
No.
Okay,
I
okay,
don't
so
think we
what?
should. I
Just a
think we
presentation. It says.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I think we just.
But I
yes.
Yeah,
mean,
we didn't have
when
anything
we
actionable
do-
yet.
Yeah.
When we do make a decision, what is the next step?
Yeah,
When or if we do?
that's a good question. I think what would probably work best for the way NISN has partnered directly with tribal communities in the past is once we have an agreeable framework for the work that NISN wants to do in the community around like engagement and design, we'd probably start with like an MOU. Just saying, hey, NISN's going to do this in this community, and then the ending point would be sometime in the future. If we were going to open the school in August, if our target was opening in August 2018, I'd probably say by December or January, we would submit to the tribe a charter school application that fit the Oklahoma state law requirements for a charter school application, and then the business council at that point would have to approve a resolution that said, yes, we accept this application. We approve of it, and we are going to enter in contract negotiations for a charter school contract. I have templates for all of what that looks like in the workshopping I've done with Cherokee and Osage.
And during that time frame, we'd be having the community meetings to help in guiding the plan.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The charter school application approval is like the last thing that we do. So I'd probably go like chew on this, ask lots of questions. Before we get started in the work like super hardcore, we'd probably want an MOU in place just so that people asking us, hey, what are you doing here? Would be like, hey, like we're working with the council on this.
Yeah.
And then down the road, we would produce a charter school application that you all would review and approve. And so along the way, just also be really clear, like the development of the school is going to happen in the open, like in front of everyone, and it's important that that transparency and that community involvement is there, because that is the most key aspect of this work, and in getting it right is doing that community engagement and making sure that whatever you're designing actually has a place in the community that is asking for. And so, it wouldn't be the sort of thing where like, we sign an MOU with NISN, and then like 6 months later you get a charter school application. It'd be like, all right, we have an MOU signed. Like, let's plan the next 30 meetings to like get to do the pieces that need to get done in order to get the school design right.
I'd like to thank you all for this this opportunity to hear what you have to say. This has been a very good. I was wondering, do you all hire the teachers for this program?
Oh yeah. So
are they local teachers, or how you bring them in?
Whoever applies.
we would come up with a staffing plan, and we'd go and recruit the teachers to come teach at the school, and we'd probably pay them more than teachers are making already.
And ideally, they would be.
If that we get good teachers.
Yeah, ideally they would be Pawnee local. I mean, that would be ideal if that could happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, because like the other thing that makes this work, right? Like the idea of like teaching curriculum that's like culturally relevant doesn't take a native teacher necessarily, but you absolutely need to have a teacher that's open to the idea that like kids, like native kids' agency is to be respected in a classroom space, and like that doesn't describe most like a lot of teachers, unfortunately. So we would be looking for teachers that believed that, and we would also work with teachers to design the curriculum that they would actually be delivering in the classroom. So on top of all of that, like our process for working with faculty and integrating them into the curriculum process, the reason why it works at NACA and why it's going to work at the school in Tulsa and Ardmore is because we have like 12 years of experience of integrating educators, native and non-native, into a system that has these values, that has the values of the community, native values, and that's what makes it go.
Okay, again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your guys' time. I really appreciate it.
Do you have a card?
I don't, but I can give you my email.
Well, the information I think is on here, right?
Oh, is it? It might actually might be in the
proposal. I
proposal.
looked for it.
No,
Maybe I overlooked it.
My email is just phil.gover
Phil.gover?
@gmail.
Oh, okay.
Or actually, no. Do at Tedna. That's my.
Phil Gover, the
Just write it down on there
19th.
for me, will you?
It's like the fourth.
Just write it down on there for me.
How do you spell? I'm
Yeah.
one of your folks.
What's that?
I said I'm one of your folks.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, my mother, my grandma raised.
And if nothing else, you can always get a hold of me.
Phil
I can
and
get a hold of you.
Philip and Steve, not Steve, the one that passed away over there. It's escaping me. Yeah.
I believe you're my relative. I believe you're my relative.
Yeah. So Phil Gover, the old man Phil Gover.
That's my great grandfather.
That's my uncle.
All right.
What for?
Whereas
So you're probably cousins with my dad.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Dang
So
it, that's
Kevin
a
is your
shameful. I
father?
can't.
Kevin's my dad. Yeah.
What's his name? The one that was killed in Normandy.
Is my auntie indeed.
Oh, Grant.
Grant.
Grant. Yes.
Grant. Yeah. When they came home, they went to my grandparents' home.
Okay. That's cool.
Oh, that's why I know that. She's got a keen song.
I know it. I know it. He does have a keen
Yes, we're
song.
done, son. Okay, we're going.
Oh.
It was really good to see you all again. Absolutely. That's my son.
Cute.
Yeah, this is
Dude,
the.
he was so quiet.
Yes, he was.
I'm impressed.
He actually goes to a charter school in Oklahoma City too.
Oh.
So this is
Dove Academy. I've heard a lot about it.
I'm I'm good.
Is that your backpack?
This is my backpack. I know it looks like a child's backpack, but yeah.
I thought you took it from him.
Kind of into the super guys.
This
huh?
is my
Superheroes?
captain. It holds my hand drum real good.
There you go.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
That wore me
Oh,
out.
I'm tired
Let's take
too.
a 2-minute break.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Take a
like it.
bio. It was good. I just wonder what's the impact to, to the schools.
Yeah, and we need to talk to our education staff about.
I mean, there's a lot of
How you
variables that we
doing?
don't
You doing
know about.
okay?
You know what I mean? I think my biggest concern is that,
Are you?
once your company gets out of their business,
Yeah.
I mean,
Is it just sore?
then we're looking at
Yeah.
we're gonna have to
Yes.
be supporting it.
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and sign off, because the next item is executive session and, I shouldn't participate because I'm not, because of confidentiality of it.
Yes.
But everybody has my opinion on the subject. I sent it to everybody via email and I just ask that you all consider those
Jay, you're
thoughts
on
when you make the
OT.
decision.
Where do you live?
Okay, fine.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, good night.
See you, Angela.
Good
Be
job.
safe now.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
And there's no.
We just had our break, and we'll just call the meeting back
Our
into
session.
order. Let's move on to.
Well, I do
Or B
have
session.
something to add, something to.
Okay. Hey.
I'm sorry.
You got 2 minutes of it. Okay,
Okay.
ready, set, go.
Okay, here's the thing.
1 minute.
Okay, I am running for council, re-election. My sister bought 10 big signs. They were more expensive than your smaller ones. I'm sure you've seen them
I
around
saw your
with the
picture on it.
pictures. 4 were missing within the first week we put them out.
Oh, no.
Out here, the 4 out here on the reserve are missing.
The ones on the corner?
Oh,
Yes, we had 3 out here, law enforcement, roundhouse, and
The bridge.
and then 1 at the Y.
That's
And
terrible.
we all put them out, it wasn't me. So, just keep your eyes and ears open.
That's too bad.
Okay.
Yes, they
Those
were
are not, I
expensive.
did see one.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
her picture and I thought, well, that's cool, because I ordered, they're expensive.
Yeah.
Well, my sister, it was all her idea, it was her design and everything, so,
Well, that's
yeah,
terrible.
so I
I
just,
would just say this along with
Too
that,
bad.
is that, it is, that's a lot of money. And if somebody has ill feelings to go and rip somebody's sounds or signs down or deface them, we as a nation here, we should, enact a law to go against that.
yeah.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
talked to the executive director and I talked to law enforcement both, and neither one knew anything, but they said they would, they did say, I asked them if there was a policy that we couldn't put them out, and that's why. Except I have one down at the trading post that's still there. So there is no policy about not putting them out any place.
Well, there should come a
There's a policy, there's a policy, but I think you're within the guidelines on it.
Okay, it's mainly the
I don't,
election.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole deal is that we need a law that says you can't remove
Right.
those.
Can't
Right.
read, yes, yes.
That's
Yeah.
not nice.
Okay.
And
That
you're
was all.
responsible for picking them up after.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, of course,
Yes,
of course,
yeah,
of
course.
yeah.
Yes, Donna?
Can we check and see when that, you mentioned the bridge, can we check and see when that sign's gonna get fixed? That's embarrassing, the War Mother's Bridge. It's only one War Mother. It's
Oh,
singular.
yeah, I've saw that. And
Yeah, I mean, just maybe a little white paint over that.
There you go.
It says,
And I didn't even notice it.
What does it
you
say?
haven't?
It's the apostrophe's in the wrong place.
It's
It's
possessive.
It says,
Yeah,
it's singular.
possessive,
It's singular,
yeah.
it's a singular.
It's a
Oh, so
plural.
there's only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
let's
just
figure that
Make a
out.
little white paint.
Green paint.
Could
put over the-
could you make a note of that one, please?
You know,
Cindy?
probably could go with some paint maybe and just
Well,
put a little.
yeah.
No, I ain't got time.
Well,
I ain't got time.
Put
No,
little tape
guys.
over that little apostrophe.
There's no time for that.
Good duct
Well,
tape,
you
we're
know-
res.
You're supposed to do another
And then Sammy, you need to, like at the budget meetings, that's when they approve their budgets, so, we need to, at that time, we need to let Jimmy Justice know, who's head of the property, but Jimmy, we want the money invested in fixing up
Yeah.
our buildings, cause that's what he goes by is his budget. He puts in his request where he wants his money to go, and the budget committee approves it, and it comes to council. It's in there, so that's
But
where we gotta
the
go
budget-
to get that done.
His
Are we on
budget
tape?
is
Yes, we
for
are.
the floor in the room chief.
But yeah,
Flooring and
no,
room
but
chief.
I'm
in
just
some
telling you the
place.
process. That's
Yeah,
that's how
I
we
appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I just think that, you know, that, you don't need a council member to come in and go, you need to paint. I think that that should be done by them on a continual basis. A plan, right? An annual plan. We're gonna paint this in January, February, March, I'm just saying.
I never noticed that, and now I'm gonna go back and look at it, and this is gonna be bothering me, because if
It
it's been
bugs
up
me.
there since it's been up there,
Yeah,
it should
it
have
has
already,
been.
it should have been taken down, you know, immediately, you know, and gotten fixed.
Yeah, I thought it was
I
temporary.
overlooked
That's
it
gonna
now.
happen.
At the beginning, and
Yeah, now I don't even
Yeah.
wanna
I won't
look
look
at it.
at
I always thought it was
I
fun,
just
you know, I just thought I was telling
I always
Yeah,
thought-
Donna ruined it for me.
I love that bridge, you know, I really love that
I do
bridge.
too. It's
And-
really-
and then I
Well, it's
didn't know
only
it was
temporary
listed.
too, it's supposed to
Yeah.
only be temporary.
Right.
I don't know how that's coming along, but they're
That
supposed to
marker,
build
yeah,
a
that's
big
something.
entrance sign
Yeah.
down there, and it's gonna have that on there.
Oh.
So it's just,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be just temporary. so.
Yeah.
We'll just make sure
so
they
just
spell
put
it
up with
right.
it for a while.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
make sure that
Yeah.
one's done.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I just don't really believe council needs to get involved in every little thing. I mean, we're kind of at a level here,
That's true. We
and that's
shouldn't have to,
Andrew, and that's an Andrew, and then the
Mhm,
division
exactly.
managers. It's
Right.
not up to me to go, hey, go paint,
Yeah.
clean the
But there
carpet.
is a property committee
Yeah,
that it could be, if you showed up, you could tell him everything you wanted.
I just don't agree with it.
It's still more administrative.
Yeah, I really
mean,
don't agree
Yeah,
with
I
it.
can understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah, but still, we want to take pride in our campus. How are
Oh,
we
for
gonna?
sure.
How are we gonna do that if we don't let the people in
And
the
let them know
division?
what we
You
need.
don't know. But I just know, I don't know how he works it now. I just knew, you know, in the past
Well,
how it
that's
was
just
worked. They
something needs
picked
to
a
go through
different building
Andrew.
yeah,
every year
That's
because
something
it was
needs to
so
go through
expensive
Andrew.
for the
Yeah.
repairs. So.
yeah.
Can we move on?
I'm just not
Yes,
comfortable with it.
let's go on
Close that
to
up. Executive session.
executive, are we done with open forum?
Anybody?
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 Hey, don't say that too loud.
Why make a motion? We go into executive session.
Motion's been made, we go into executive session.
I'll second.
And motion's made to go into executive session and second by Ms. Atson.
Mhm.
And
I'm in favor.
Let me do roll call.
yes, please.
Family Littleson, yes. Oh, Angela's not on the phone any longer. Sammy Atkin,
Here.
Donna Henry,
Here, yes.
Adrian Scott,
Yes.
Lana Peters. Yes, okay.
She said. Did you hate that? How's your
All in favor?
No, she's gone.